Welcome back to Collider Live, the best show on the damn YouTubes.
Word.
You guys just witnessed the end of a very sloppy high five fest that we are having
It's
here.
the high five at the end of Saved by the Bell. You know when like Screech misses him?
You gotta look at the elbow.
guess.
Everybody knows that. No, you can't do
That's why I do the fist bump. That's easier.
You have to do opposite arm, opposite arm. You just tried to same arm me. Wow, and it worked.
See?
Guys, I'm Roxy Stryer alongside Darina, the most evil girl I know.
Buenos dias. How is everyone doing? Welcome to our second show of the week. Second new Collider Live.
They haven't let us go yet because
I
of all
know.
of the vagina situation.
We're still here. It's very bizarre, but we have
Meeting later, yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Speaking of meetings, we have our extraordinary producer Mark Riley.
Oh, hi. Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
And our number one Bad Boys fan,
Guys.
Josh McCouga.
guys.
This has been the second best day of 2019 so far.
So, Josh, I'm really excited for you
Okay.
because, yes, absolutely, we're going to be talking Bad Boys today. Mostly because if we didn't, you'd
I'd
cry,
walk, yeah.
and I don't want to see that. But also because I have some feels going on
man.
myself. Yes.
I ran onto Movie Talk earlier. It scared Perry, which has only happened twice. The one time I hid under Perry's desk for like 10 minutes, and I think I developed scoliosis in my back from hiding in the desk to scare her.
Worth
And
it.
it sort of worked. This one, I ran onto Movie Talk, and she wasn't paying attention. She gets in that zone when she's hosting something,
Yeah.
and I ran on and like grabbed the mic from her. Coy laughed. I don't think Haleigh really understood what was going on so much, but it's incredible.
We will get it. We will get
Yes,
it. We
you
definitely
no,
will.
we were gonna talk about Bad Boys, Josh. Calm down.
But also,
No,
wanted to
Vibrating
say
with-
hello
also-
to Cody Hall and Alex Marzonia in the booth.
Yes.
Hey, guys.
everybody.
Thank you guys for being here. Actually, we couldn't do it without you physically.
Literally.
So,
Yeah.
Literally, we would not be able to do it.
MVPs.
We all just got off of reading the most incredible Martin Scorsese article, though. And honestly,
Holy shit.
Yeah. I kind of had a similar reaction. A holy shit reaction.
I just was. I read
And,
it last night when it dropped, and I kept halfway through. I was like, I love him.
You read this last
Yeah.
night, and you didn't let me know it existed until this morning.
That's
what
a
kind of
burn.
a friend are
Yeah, that's
you?
a
Well,
tough
it was
look.
11 o'clock at night. I should have realized that you were up probably
We
doing
don't go to sleep
research
early.
for. Also, I was reading it, and my fiance said, "Are you on your phone again?" And I said, "Yes, but this is work." And she said, "I don't fucking care." And I went, "Let me
Strong
finish
woman.
this." And I finished, and she went, "I hope it was worth it." And I said, "It was."
Ask me
Somewhat.
if you got laid last night.
I did not, though.
Yeah, I was going to say
Probably
no.
because of Martin Scorsese. Scorsese.
Well, you could have had angry sex though. But anyway.
Yeah, that's a
past
bummer.
that.
That's a
That's
bummer
fun,
that
too.
you didn't get laid, but at least you got to read a pretty awesome piece in the New York
It's not like
Times.
he was reading it while he was getting laid.
That
He-
would have
he
been
could
worse.
have.
I could have.
That's some Dr. Manhattan stuff going on right now. Yo,
Speaking of Dr. Manhattan,
Watchmen references.
this particular episode especially
Creepy.
big,
Awesome.
big blue Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
It's the dong. Just say it. Big
Wait,
blue
did
dong.
we see the dong in this one?
No, we saw the dong
two.
last one.
Well, I don't want to spoil it,
But
but,
it
we
wasn't-
did see something related that was pretty good.
No, we only saw the dong in
that.
episode 2.
Well, wait, the end of episode 3 has
That
something
dong,
fun.
da dong, dong, dong.
Yes.
Darina, I know
Make
that
it
you,
What?
Make it big.
if you're going to do it, make it big.
Make it big.
So, for anybody who didn't read this, Martin Scorsese, obviously nobody who watches his show has been living under a rock, had comments about Marvel. At this point, I'm going to say a month ago.
Yeah.
It might have honestly been a month ago.
Felt like 20 years.
Saying that it was not cinema.
I feel like we've been talking about this for a year. So yes.
forever. And then not only did Martin Scorsese talk about it, but Francis Ford Coppola and anybody who's ever been in the industry at all in any capacity
Right.
also weighed in because that's what we
Which
do.
makes sense because movies, superhero movies specifically, are the new blockbusters, right? We used to have a bunch of blockbusters back in the day, the Jurassic Parks of the world, the Josses. Now we just have superhero movies that are blockbusters, and I think that's interesting, and that's what the industry's changing, which is why this conversation's happening.
Right, exactly. And so Scorsese has kind of clarified previously, but now he's taken the time to really be like, hold up, this has gotten way out of control. Here's what I actually meant.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for in general because I feel like he could have not written this and been like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
really care what the
Because
people
that's
think
what
that I
old,
think.
old Donnie Berets is doing. Because
Right.
he's not saying a word.
I mean, come on,
moved
man.
on with his
can't
life.
just
Yeah.
nickname Francis Ford Coppola Donnie Berets.
Why?
Because
I mean,
Roxy,
you can do whatever
he
you
popped-
want,
he
He
but
popped some wine and he went, fuck him.
mostly because no one will know who you're talking
I know.
Okay,
about.
how about Frankie Perez?
No.
That's
Better.
Francis
Closer.
Ford
we just call
Perez?
him Marty.
Francis
Francis
Beret
Perez.
Opala.
But wait, did you guys? Okay, so when the first statement that happened, were you guys on his side a little bit? Like, I'm curious as to like how you guys feel about this after reading his opinion piece versus initially, because I know Josh is still on the same
No, I'm
page.
thinking of funny names for Francis Ford Coppola, and then I said
Obviously, what
Francis
Josh
Ford.
is doing.
That's obviously why would you be thinking about?
Let-
Why would you be listening to me? Of
No,
course,
hold
you're
on.
coming up with puns.
Let his process happen.
It's
is
an
what I'm
artistic
saying.
process. You know who would appreciate this? Marty.
Yeah.
Marty would like what you're doing right now. But I think it's a
Okay.
great question,
It's
Dorina.
art. It's art, Dorina. It's art.
Because
My
while,
punning is art.
While Josh is thinking, I will say that when he initially said this, because of who he is, I kind of thought it was funny. Mm-hmm. And
Me too.
I was not offended. I was not hurt. I kind of thought, duh, he thinks that. I'm not shocked that he thinks
No.
that.
Right.
And I like that in the op-ed, he starts by saying, listen, if I grew up in a different time, I probably would have died to make these types of movies. It would be a completely different beast. But it's not who I am, and it's not how I was raised, and it's not the time in which I grew up. So I don't feel that way about
Right.
them. So he is acknowledging, you're not stupid for feeling the way you guys feel.
This is just how I feel.
This is just how I feel.
Listen, he is, and I think a lot of people are going to take from this op-ed in the New York Times, no less, is that he is bashing Marvel again. And what he is actually saying, in my opinion, is that the studio system for him is broken. For art, for people making movies, it's a bigger issue than just Marvel. Marvel is just the example he's using to kind of talk about why and how films are being made, excuse me, and why ultimately I think he went to Netflix with The Irishman.
Yeah, frankly, it didn't seem to have much to do with Marvel. Dee, what do you think?
I mean, I love the part, and I wrote it down because I loved it. He basically is talking about how he feels like these movies do show things that he considered exciting when he was growing up and watching movies, right? But
No, go ahead.
But-
Sorry.
but-
I didn't mean to do the wash. That was my bad on that.
wash, but
Pause for a second. Yo, if you care
that's
about me
right.
at all, you'll make a wash gift. Just saying. Continue. Thank you.
wash. So yes, he actually admits that the filmmakers behind these movies are obviously artists, and they're he credits their hard
Talented.
work. Like nobody disagrees with that, right? But he also thinks that nothing is at risk in these movies, right? Compared to the North by Northwest, Ingmar Bergman's movies, like compared to those movies that he grew up with, he specifically said these pictures are made to satisfy a specific set of demands, and they are designed as variations of a finite number of themes. They are sequels in name, but they are remakes in spirit. And I completely agree with that. And that's been actually I'm glad he said that, because that's been my issue with these movies. I love superhero movies. I grew up reading comic book movies. I love
You read comic book movies?
comic books. I love all of that stuff
Feisty
when I
Josh
was a kid.
today.
He's just pissed at Martin Scorsese.
I'm not.
He just came up with his pun and is ready to say it.
No, I'm
Exactly.
not. I can't. I said Francis Ford Barapola, and that's wrong. That
You
can't
can't be a
No,
Barapola.
no.
You're
It doesn't.
starting
That's why I
rumors
was laughing
now.
to myself. I'm like, that's not gonna work.
Dorina, I'm
But
still with you, though.
Anyway, so
Wash.
my point is that it's frustrating for me because I love the Doctor Stranges. I love Logan, but I didn't love Infinity War. I didn't love Civil War. I know everybody loves these movies, but I was a little bit bored watching these. The spectacle of it visually is really cool. I love watching my heroes come to life that I read as a kid, but I feel like a lot of the story is drowned out by the action-packed sequences, and the character death just wasn't there for me as it was for other people.
What I got more from this article is that he knows there's a lot of theaters in this country, overseas in general, that will play one movie. They'll have one big movie, or that's what the big ticket is. That's what's on the marquee. That's what's being advertised. And as long as these huge superhero movies exist, that's the movie.
Right.
There's not room as much for the smaller movies, the art house movies, even bigger movies that are not franchise movies, that are not tentpole movies,
Right.
but still are different, unique stories, don't have a chance as long as we're in a society where it is Marvel, Star Wars, DC. Those are the titles on the billboards.
We live in a society. I
And
agree.
while you guys know, and you guys make sure to remind me all the time. I love DC. I love DC.
Yeah.
I love Star Wars. I love Marvel. I love all these things because I
love
also. I love Lamp.
I love Lamp.
Because I also
one,
grew
Josh.
up reading comic books and loving all things that were nerdy and geeky and didn't have a way to celebrate that because if I brought a comic book to school, I would get picked on and I was already a chubby kid who had very little friends who people threw shit at. So I didn't want to fucking do that.
Yeah.
And now as an adult, I get to be cool.
Yeah.
And people get to think that it's cool that I know more things about DC than some people.
Yeah.
Like that's feels good for me.
Yeah.
And so while I see what he's saying, I see both sides of it. And I think that he probably does too.
Yeah.
He's saying, if you like this, if you don't like this, it's just hard with the way the industry is going to make independent films.
Yes.
Yeah, I really got that for Go, Josh, because
Go ahead.
I really
Barapi again or a real comment?
No, I got a good one.
Okay.
I think. I don't know. Who fucking knows.
Wait, Cody, did you say you got a good one? What?
No, Roxy said that.
Oh, okay. But now I want you to go.
No, okay, fine.
Now you have to do it.
All right,
Yeah.
here's the thing. I'm always so down the middle on everything. Like, I like the Marvel movies. They're fine. Ken Knapsack and I both very much agree that it's the same movie every time.
Which is Marty's point.
It's kind of what
It
Marty's
is,
saying.
right?
Yeah.
But a lot of movies are the same thing every time. You start out, everything is good, everything goes bad, everything good. Like, that's how most movies are, except for Inside Llewyn Davis. Again, I brought that up before. The movie's so stupid. Okay.
Well, I feel like you're talking about there's kind
Have
of
you
like-
ever watched Inside Llewyn Davis?
Yes.
The movie
Yeah.
just ends.
Hold on, you're saying that
There's nothing.
the only movie that doesn't go like that on the planet is Inside Llewyn Davis.
Kind of. Kind of. Except for Infinity War, because you knew there was going to be a second one.
Can you
Everybody
write-
was dust, and then all of a sudden, Tony Stark's like, I invented time travel! I got it!
Wait, I'm
Can you write an opinion
honestly,
piece?
Yes.
I'm honestly
On Inside
confused
Llewyn
though.
Davis?
Loop me back around. So get me back full
got it.
circle.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So Martin Scorsese ends this article by saying, for anyone who dreams of making movies or who's just starting out, the situation at this moment is brutal and inhospitable to art. And the act of simply writing those words fills me with terrible sadness.
Yeah.
Okay, Marty, listen. Art house pictures sometimes kind of funk and blow, okay? Like, they're not the best.
To you, though.
I am the main audience.
You think so?
You are selling movies to me. You're selling action movies to me. I am middle America. I am not the film geek. I am not
Pittsburgh.
the cinephile.
Yeah.
So, Pittsburgh is middle effing America. Okay? Have you ever
Please
been?
write down in
It's
the
middle
comments
America.
where Pittsburgh is.
Pittsburgh is right between Midwest and the East Coast. No, it's considered Midwest to a lot of people. It's
No
considered
way.
East Coast. Yes, it is. It's the Mason-Dixon line of cities of between Midwest, because Ohio is literally 20 minutes away, and so is West Virginia. Regardless, what I'm getting at here is that
Stay on target.
anytime somebody was like, "Oh, it's a very artsy," I'm out. It's a cerebral. I'm out. Like, give me the mainstream movies. And Martin Scorsese's movies are made friggin' stream, and they're awesome. The Irishman is gonna be sick. Goodfellas is my top 3 favorite freaking movies.
But I think-
so is Casino. So is all of his movies he's ever done.
Why do you
they
love
are
those movies so
fucking
much?
good.
Why?
Silence?
Why, but what do you love about those
What's
movies?
silence?
Exactly.
I've never seen that. I'm just talking about the good ones.
Why do you love Goodfellas and why do you love Godfather?
Because it's a mainstream. What happens in Goodfellas? Starts out good, goes bad, ends good-ish. I guess they all die, and he's alive. He's in.
But what do you
enough.
like about? Do you like the character? Like, do you like the action sequences? Like, what is it that you love so much about those movies?
It's an all-around great original. I mean, it's a
Okay.
great tale of a biopic or whatever. What I'm getting at here.
But Josh, I think that he's getting at the same thing you're getting
Yes.
at. He's
Yeah.
not talking about what you're referring to as art funk. Is that
No, art house.
Art house funking
Blows.
So he's not talking about art house funking blows movies. He's talking about Goodfellas. He's saying that these movies, these movies that are initially made to not be sequel films, that they're supposed to be one story, are not getting the attention, and that people aren't going to be able to make these when there are these massive franchises
Right.
going on.
And-
so I think that he agrees with you. I don't think he's sitting here thinking all those little small $50,000 indie budgets have no shot. I think he's thinking the movies that I came up making are not getting the burn.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
you
now
mentioned it
we're-
earlier, Roxy, because every time a big franchise movie opens on a Thursday, whether it's Endgame this year, it's going to happen with Star Wars Episode 9. You go to the ArcLight and it's like 10 screens are showing this movie.
Yep.
And then there's 2 screens that are showing like a random indie film.
Right.
Right? Like that, because they know that these movies are going to
gotta
make
make
money.
money.
That's a
I
theater
get it.
D that
I know.
has 12 screens.
Right.
A lot of them don't have 12
Exactly.
screens.
And so that's an example of what is happening and what people are getting frustrated at, because Martin Scorsese mentions all these directors that we love, the Wes Andersons of the world, the Catherine Bigelows, Paul Thomas Anderson. These are movies that are usually got nominated for Oscars for a reason, right? And not a lot of people watch them
here's
because
the other
marketing always goes to Avengers movies.
It's fine. Give them the marketing. What I'm saying is there are so many damn other options now, and all these directors complain, well, it's not on the big screen. It's bull. I watch most of the movies on a computer screen or a television. Okay?
But
I do.
A genuine question. Who pissed in your cereal? Like,
Sorry.
but who are
Like,
you?
I'm tired of people complaining that these movies are too big and
So the
he just got a
audience.
movie made on Netflix.
So you're upset with Marty?
Yeah.
Well, that's part of his point, though. His point was, and I think it really, and I love that everybody's getting something different from this article. Like, really, I think that's important for the conversation moving forward. What I got from it is that original films that Marty wants to make, he brings up Wes Anderson. He brings up, these are certain people getting through the cracks, getting through the system and making their art, right? And getting it out there on some kind of platform. He goes to Netflix so he can make The Irishman. I feel like this op-ed was an indictment of studio Hollywood. Focus groups, safe, marketing, masses. That's what he's like railing against. And I think it travels all the way down to someone like me who I feel like when I say, hey, I have a original screenplay that's big budgeted, because I love myself some blockbuster movies, but I have an original screenplay, big budget. An agent last week told me, not interested, it's not based on any brand.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I can't get a fucking movie that I've been working on for 2 years that I believe in and I'm passionate about because it can't get through the system because it's not based on a comic book, a book, or something else.
And we talked about it yesterday. They will make another Terminator movie, even though this one failed, before they make original content,
Right.
because they trust a franchise.
So I
brand.
look at his colleagues that he came up with, like Spielberg, who made a bunch of really original blockbuster movies like an E.T., like a Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but we're gone from that now. I think if Spielberg wanted to make an E.T. or a Close Encounters today, they would say no because it's not based on an existing
Or they
property.
would say yes because he's a legendary director, but they might
Let's
not
put him
say
back
that
there.
to the new Spielbergs of the
The new
world, right?
correct.
Those are the people that aren't getting the opportunity. Martin Scorsese isn't only speaking for himself. I mean, I'm sure he's speaking because he wants to find new artists. He wants to find the new Paul Thomas Anderson, the new Ari
There will always
Asters.
be new artists.
But they're not
always...
getting the opportunity because of
Matthew
all
Yes,
these
McConaughey.
they
other
are.
guys.
There's tons of TV.
Now
they can learn
it's streaming.
Yeah,
You know,
good.
here's
That's
what
what's
I'm-
happening.
They don't have
Here's
to, they don't
what
have to
I'm
get funding
really-
for a $30,000 indie. Who cares?
Here's what I'm really interested in, because I've heard our guest who's coming on today, Roland Emmerich, talk
Yes.
about this, because you think of him as a big blockbuster director,
Yeah.
but he also has found qualms and issues with this comic book and franchise type movie. So I'm super curious what he thinks about it, but I also want to go to the booth. Cody, thoughts on this, because you're a big comic book movie fan as well.
I don't really care too much, but the chat
You're not in
is,
Josh's camp?
So the chat's kind of losing their minds right now.
How come? What's
It's
going on?
funny. Just kind of a lot of all caps directed towards Josh.
Yeah.
What about what?
Is it good or
Just telling you to calm down. Just relax. It's okay.
Fine. I'm
gonna be okay.
I'm so tired of arguing this stupid Martin Scorsese thing. I don't care. Make good movies and release them on whatever platform you can. I don't need to go spend $30 at a movie theater to enjoy a funking movie.
But no matter how much you yell, and I love how you yell, these films are not getting the same opportunities to be watched as these other movies. That's
a billion
definitely.
people have Netflix. They can't watch The Irishman?
I'm not talking about The Irishman. I'm talking about the other movies he's talking about. I'm talking about all these other directors, the ones that end up in one screen for like 2 weeks because they want to put
Maybe it wasn't
Endgame
very
and
good.
10 other ones. No,
Maybe
it was
did-
fucking.
maybe it didn't have the same word of mouth that it had.
Josh,
maybe the
I'm-
movie wasn't good.
What's
It
the
only had
deal
2
with that?
weeks.
Josh, I am curious because what Mark just said as a writer and being frustrated, and that's why he kind of is siding with Marty. You're also a writer, and you.
Yeah, but I write. I don't really write screenplays. I write TV shows.
Yes, you do.
I mean, I wrote one
TV
but,
shows.
Two. I
Was
would
it
much
an
rather-
original idea?
It's based off a true story.
It's a great point, though, that you bring up TV, because I think there feels like there's more opportunity in streaming television series.
Right.
It feels like there's more chances being taken for Hulu's and Netflix, and we're getting Apple Plus, and or is it Apple? Apple whatever, and Disney Plus. Well, Disney Plus
It's
is
Apple
It's
Plus
Apple
too.
Plus. Yeah.
Okay, is it?
When in
Good,
doubt, put a
somebody
plus
go.
or a
Just
max.
put a plus on it.
Exactly.
All access, any one of those
Right,
words,
right.
just like throw something on there.
Right.
I thought that
Or
this
YouTube Red.
op-ed,
Whoopsie-daisy.
Yeah.
that didn't even work for that. I thought that this op-ed was going to put the nice little bow on the Martin Scorsese situation.
Right.
Based off of this dialogue here today, it feels as if it not only did not put a bow on it, but opened up the floodgates even more. I'm curious, do you guys think that this is the start of another month of Martin Scorsese talk?
Yes.
I mean, I think
God,
he
I'm glad
made.
I'm leaving Thursday.
You'll be so
No
missed.
offense.
You'll be
No
so
offense.
missed.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm kidding.
He's so happy.
No,
Wash.
I'm not happy I'm leaving Thursday. I will miss you guys terribly. I'm so over this Martin Scorsese argument. Like, I'm so down the road as like, if you make a good movie, my 2 favorite movies of the year, Peanut Butter Effing Falcon and Jojo Rabbit. Hands down. And then Good Boys.
But the only reason you knew about those movies is because of the industry you work in.
Correct.
Like a lot of people, the general audience, which is what you're saying
There's
is
a
you,
lot of
the
market-
use of the world, don't know that these movies exist because they only receive marketing for the big budget movies.
Darina, go to my question, please. Do you think that this is the start or stop of this
I
conversation?
mean, I think that the fact that it comes from himself, and he specifically said, people are going to say whatever they want about or interpret my comments, no matter what. I think that's true. That could keep going. But the fact that he's specifically explaining, I don't hate these movies. I just think that this is my problem with how it's affecting the filmmaking industry, right? I think that it's very clear that that's the point he's making. So if people actually read the article and not just the headline, I think the conversation could finally
I read
stop.
the whole
But
damn article. Is that
Yeah.
a shot at me?
No, God, no. Because it's to
It
my
was a
original
shot at
point.
people- it was a shot at people
I
that
think
keep the
it's
conversation
it's
going.
Riley
not going
says
to
God
end.
no, but we don't know. She didn't say it.
Actually, I don't. I'm not in
No,
their
no,
brain,
no.
so yeah.
No.
No, I think that people, like I said at the top of this, is that people are going to just see Marvel and they're going to jump on that without reading the article. I think that there is a lot of goodness in that article, and that you can have your opinion, Josh. I think absolutely you got something from it because you fucking read the article. I just sat here
Yes.
watching you read it, so you have an opinion that is educated on this. I think that what people are going to glom onto is they're going to cherry pick little things, and this thing is going to continue to be talked about for a while.
But it's going to be continued to be talked about because it's still an issue in the industry.
Have you
It
guys
has been an issue for a while.
Yes.
Speaking about the too long thing, though, for a second, have you guys been seeing this hashtag? It's like TLDR or TLCR.
Too long didn't read?
Too long didn't read.
Yeah.
And this is like a whole movement
That's
now
brutal.
where people aren't reading shit, so other people are summarizing for them. Like basically, it was this in 140 characters. It's driving me mad. Like just. Read
it's
it
like people
or
on
don't
YouTube.
don't talk about
You
it.
look at the
Right.
time code, you're like, oh, 7 minutes.
People love to tweet opinions on reading a paragraph of an article. It's incredible. Like you just you're missing a lot of stuff.
But I
by
don't
not reading.
care if you don't read it. No worries. Not
Right.
your bag.
Right.
But then don't talk about it.
Exactly.
Just go do, like, it's people who tweet about movies they never saw.
Yeah, I know.
What?
Or people that are ready to hate a movie that hasn't come out, and they just have this campaign going on. It happened with Joker. People are like, "This movie sucks. I haven't seen it." It happens all the time.
Well-
I don't understand that.
Josh didn't like it, but at least he saw it.
Exactly.
Guys,
And
we're,
I honestly would not have gone to see the Joker in theaters if I was not on this show.
Right.
That's here's the thing. I didn't grow up in a family that like went every weekend to a movie theater or like we got to go see it in a theater. We were more of a like when it comes out, we'll see it.
Right.
Okay. Like we were more of a blockbuster family.
yeah,
Right?
I mean,
We
it's
were-
really expensive to go to the movies
No
with an
shit.
entire
It
family.
is.
Yeah, it's
That's
very
why we
expensive.
took our own food in, because otherwise.
Oh, you kidding me? My grandma'd come with a backpack full of sandwiches.
What? They used to check our shit.
Oh no.
Oh my God, they would check all our shit.
We do it all the time now.
I would try to bring in candy. They would pat you down.
Not
Oh
at the-
man, no,
not at
we
the
brought
Bridgeville.
sandwiches, hot dogs, chips, all the things.
everything.
Damn my rich people. They would not let us do shit.
I think I
Skills
one
are like
time-
$7,
My
man.
mom one time brought a purse, and the purse was just full of candy. Like not even a liner. It was just a purse full
I'm jealous
of
of
candy.
that. Well, guys, we are going to cut to break soon because we have Roland Emmerich who is coming in. Not only are we going to ask his opinions on this Martin Scorsese thing, I'm sorry, Josh, we got to get it.
Sure.
But we're also going to talk about Midway because
Yeah.
Darina and I saw Midway yesterday and we have some serious questions for him. I really enjoyed the movie, so I can't wait to talk to him about that. Also, all things Patriot, Godzilla. Godzilla. Day after tomorrow, you guys know.
Independence Day.
Independence Day.
It's the greatest, one of the greatest action movies of all time, if not the greatest action movie next to The Bad Boys.
Is
Hell
it
yeah.
bad if I ask him a stupid question
calling you
about
dumb,
how the dog that runs away from the explosion? It's literally one of my
Boomer.
favorite scenes. Boomer, thank you. Favorite.
Why would it be
scenes.
bad if you asked
I don't know
that?
because it's such a dumb question, but I love that scene so much.
I always realize this. If I have a question, somebody else at home probably has that same question. And I know a lot of
love
you guys
that.
out there are saying right now that's not true, that I come up with questions that nobody's ever thought. But that's what I really mean. You go ahead.
No, my Amanda's question was when we were watching Independence Day, she was Harry Connick Jr. a singer before an actor or an actor before a singer? I was like, singer. But maybe Roland Emmerich knows more. Who knows?
Well,
No,
we're
that's a
going to
good point.
ask him probably not about that, but all different other things. Let's get to break and we'll come back with Roland Emmerich.
Hey guys, it's Perry here to let you know that Movie Talk is moving. We've had a great time in this 3 p.m. Pacific slot, but guess what? We want you to start your day with Collider Movie Talk, so we're moving. 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to get a longer show with some brand new segments, so tune in starting Monday, September 16th, 9 a.m. Pacific. See you there.
Hey everyone, John Roca here, the host of Collider Sports Time. Well, you know, if you've been watching us every week, you know we break down the latest and the greatest in the world of sports, talk about the big issues, the big games, all of it with a rotating band of guests like Matt Nose and Josh McCouga. We've had Taylor Bisciotti on. We've had so many great guests. Now, if you want to see more of Sports Time or you want to try it out for the first time, remember to subscribe to Collider Sports YouTube channel for all the sports goodness.
Hey guys, it's Riley here. Let me tell you about the Riley Roundtable. You know it, right? It drops every Thursday on Collider Conversations, and I have guests from all across the space. John Roca, Gray Drake, Alexander Desplat came on at one point. We talk everything from movies, we talk about life, and everything in between. What do you want to hear? What do you want to talk about? It's the Riley Roundtable every Thursday on Collider Conversations. You get it there.
Hi, I'm Coy Jandro, host of Collider Heroes, and I'm here to tell you we've got 20-minute episodes coming at you on Collider Video on the YouTube as you've always loved it. Plus, now we've got hour-long podcasts dropping every Thursday, so make sure to subscribe to the podcast because it's going to get even more sweaty on the podcast. Plus, every week we're going to try to get some very special guest interviews, all of the people that help shape these movies and TV shows you love. So, video, podcast, interviews, all coming at you. Be sure to subscribe. Thanks so much, guys. Stay sweaty.
What's up, Collider fans? Ryan Satin here from ProWrestlingSheet.com, where you can find the top stories throughout the week in the world of professional wrestling. If you're a wrestling fan like myself, then you'll be doing yourself a disservice by not checking out all the shows we do every week on YouTube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet. In particular, on Wednesdays, we've got a SmackDown recap show hosted by John Roca and myself, where we pick apart and talk about every little thing that happened on the Blue Brand. So do yourself a favor and go subscribe at youtube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet.
Hey guys, Riley here, and let me tell you about Rule of Two. You looking for a Star Wars fix? Well, Rule of Two is that show. It drops on Collider Video's main YouTube channel, as well as on Podcast One's Jedi Council feed. So go over there, subscribe, share it with your friends. It's hosted by myself and Mark Fernandez. We talk everything in the Star Wars universe with a lot of deep dives and a lot of conversations that go all in. You know what to do. Subscribe, join us there, and rise.
Hey everyone, John Roca here, the host of Collider Mailbag. A new episode drops every Saturday and Sunday in your face and in your ears, answering the questions from you fans about the world of entertainment, film, and television. Me and great guests from our sphere do the best to answer your questions from Twitter, from Instagram, and of course, email as well, every Saturday and Sunday.
Hi, I'm Amy Dallin, one of the hosts of Collider Heroes, and starting right now, you can catch our show Tuesday nights with a new Collider Heroes and a longer Collider Heroes podcast, where Coy and I are gonna talk your ears off. You already know that's coming. So make sure to go to YouTube, subscribe, and find us on the Collider Heroes podcast feed for all of that sweaty goodness.
The Witching Hour is all over Collider right now. You can listen to that horror-filled podcast with myself, with Haleigh Foutch. We talk about witchiness, we talk about slashers, we talk about space horror, you name it, all on that show on the Collider Factory feed. And on top of that, you can find an article all about Witching Hour every single Tuesday on Collider.com. Check it out, get scared. Hopefully you survive the witching hour.
Welcome back to Collider Live. We are here with Roland Emmerich. You definitely have earned that round of applause, my friend.
Yes.
Here talking about Midway, a movie Darina and I saw yesterday and thoroughly enjoyed, so we're excited to talk to you about it. But first, I did want to say that I heard that you grew up wanting to possibly be an architect. And I just think that that is so ironic considering you have built an entire career blowing things up instead of building things up.
Yeah, well.
How does one become the guy who blows a ton of stuff up?
Well, it was like kind of just, it happened by accident, honest to God. I had just done Stargate, and which was some sort of a sleeper hit, and everybody wanted to kind of do movies with me all of a sudden. And I kind of said to everybody, no, I'm like doing my own thing. And I, at that time, went to Dean Devlin and said, look, I think I have a really great idea. It's an alien invasion movie, but we will like kind of cross it with a disaster movie. And then he like said, well, what do you mean disaster movie? There will be one moment where everything gets blown up. And the most interesting discussion was, what should we blow up in Washington? and Dean Devlin said, well, the Capitol. I said, no, the White House.
Yes.
I think when the White House explodes, everything is possible. And
It's amazing.
And that was like just at that time, you know, my kind of feel. And then Fox said, you cannot like blow up the White House. And I said like, well, it's like, and actually I very early shot the blow up of the White House because I knew I wanted to kind of put it in the trailer.
Yeah.
And then like Fox again, you cannot put this in the trailer. And I said, well, let's do one with and one without and see what happens.
How did you convince them?
Well, we like tested it. We tested it without and with. And naturally, what do you think tested better?
Yeah, that completely makes sense. Which also, I mean, I heard that you guys built mostly like a half a replica of it, right? Like how
Like
can you
60% or something of the White House.
Crazy.
Well, that was like kind of that was like kind of White House down.
Another White House movie.
Exactly.
Okay.
No, it's like I'm the specialist when it comes to White House. We built a relatively big model out of a lot of little plaster pieces, and then we had Joey Scorsese, which was just passed away, kind of blow it up for us, and it was like really incredible kind of explosion.
When you did blow it up, did you guys kind of freak out on set? Were you all just like, yeah, we did it?
No, a little bit. I mean, we were like all clapping and yoo-hoo, and we did it. And we used it before for some kind of false perspective stuff, and then we kind of blew it up.
But was any part of you nervous at all? Like, okay, I'm going to be a huge director in the States. I actually think you're the 11th highest grossing director in the States, which is a huge feat, massive accomplishment. But was any part of you like, maybe they're not going to like it if I blow all their shit up? Like, maybe somebody's going to get pissed about this fact that I'm going to blow up all the stuff in the United States?
No, I never had that fear.
You weren't worried at all?
No. Also, don't forget, at that time, there was a huge frustration with Washington. I think it was a lot released.
Things have changed crazily.
Yeah, of course. We're all happy now.
Now it's like kind of... now it's actually probably like at one point blow up in real time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think you need to make another one. I'm kidding. Little bit.
I get the question all the time, though, especially since I said that I was interviewing you. People talk about, what is the next thing that you're going to make explode? And I swear we will move on from explosions, but everybody wants to know, is there another monument or a place?
No, but
Did you have a checklist?
No, I don't.
Did that.
I don't. No, I don't, because it's a story point. You know, I always like explain it like this. Look, for example, in 2012, you know, Harold and I were like said we have to kind of do something where, kind of. Prayer doesn't work. You can pray as much as you want, you know. And so we did a scene with people praying in front of St. Peter's, and then St. Peter's falls on their head.
Right.
So to just tell the people praying doesn't work here. You know what I mean? And that's like sometimes this is the story point of it. It's not like just...
I mean, when
Blowing up for no reason.
Yeah.
Right.
when Independence Day came out, you know, I was so excited. I saw that movie like 4 times in the theater. I gotta be honest with
Not
you.
surprising.
I mean,
Part of the reason you heard him screaming in the other
Well,
room
I was so
he was just
excited
yelling about Independence Day.
And it's because really quick, I brought up the fact that I love the dog running away from the explosion. That's one of my favorite scenes in an action movie. And so thank you for that. Yes.
Yeah,
Boomer.
it's really good. When that came out, I was so excited because you did blow everything up. Because there were so many movies where like they would honestly tease something blowing up, but then it wasn't going to blow up. It was more of like a.
Well, there was one destruction scene which we like kind of we gave it all, you know, and there was only one sequence, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then, so I wanted to ask you about, because Roxy and I saw Midway yesterday.
Which, by the way, is in theaters on November 8th, which is this weekend, very soon.
Right. And so I wanted to ask about how the filmmaking process has changed for you with technology, from making, a model replica of these buildings and blowing them up to now what's been your biggest challenge or even has made things easier for you as a filmmaker with technology as to how you shot Midway versus Day After Tomorrow, Independence Day, et cetera?
Well, it's never easy. That's the first thing.
Right.
I miss sometimes the models because you kind of shot it and then you could look at it. Now it's like this tedious process of like kind of nursing a shot into photo realness. But on the other hand, you could have never done Midway with models.
Right.
There's no way you could pulled off the water or anything. So it was clearly had to be all CGI. And you know what we were like kind of really concerned about that the CGI is good enough. For that, and I had like kind of 2 friends who have both huge visual effects companies, and they like kind of went with me on this kind of adventure with Pixelmondo and Scanline, and we had like really at one point we said we need another 4 weeks and then another 4 weeks. We just constantly extended it, and we went up to the last moment when we could still do something, and they went with it, and they kind of supported it, and I think only because of that, it's kind of some sort of inequality where I think you can buy into it. But it's I'm like kind of totally believe that you can put like visual effects in so many different versions now, and you can create so many different worlds. That I think it's like it's a little bit like kind of when you have the money, you can do whatever you want.
It's true that.
It's really you can do whatever you want. Yeah.
Staying on Midway for a second, because I think it's really interesting that you're a German man who decided to make a World War II movie, but in the Pacific. How did that all come to be? Why did you want to make this movie?
Well, I actually. More than 20 years ago, I had just signed a huge deal with Columbia TriStar, and while I was shooting Godzilla, I was like kind of during the day watching a lot of stuff, and I was looking for my new movie or something, and I don't know, I checked a lot of war documentaries out, and one was like Midway, and when I saw Midway, I realized all of a sudden, oh my God, this is like a huge comeback story, because when you like kind of include Pearl Harbor, then it's actually amazing how that the Americans, 6 months later won this huge battle, and you ask yourself, how could they make this comeback? And then I went to at that time to John Kelly, who was running Columbia TriStar. He was also super excited about it, but then very fast we learned this movie is way expensive. It's at that time it would have been at least 150, 160 million, and John said to me, Roland, I have to talk to the Sonys. And that's when I realized, oh yeah, they're like owned by Sony, corporation. They were like kind of, it was very low in the thing then,
there,
so you didn't really quite. Right. And they like kind of said, no way are you making an expensive movie like that with us. And then another friend who worked for TriStar, for TriStar, Chris Lee, he gave me then the script of The Patriot, which I then made. So I made my war movie. And then, Michael Bay and Bruckheimer did Pearl Harbor, so I had to wait. And then, I think now it was just also, I'm actually quite happy that I did it now because of, state of visual effects, etc. So
Pearl Harbor was one of those movies that I think a lot of people did not really care for.
I loved
perhaps.
it.
And
loved it.
I enjoyed a
Had
lot
a
of
good
Pearl
score.
Harbor. When you saw Pearl Harbor, did you think that maybe it set Midway back a little bit?
No,
seen
not
it?
really, because he was going for something totally different
Yeah,
than
right.
what I was going for. I was going for more, realistic kind of retelling of 6 months of
Right.
of a war effort, and he was like it was a Randall Wallace script, and I know Randall very well, so he's like kind of just did his own thing, you know.
You mentioned The Patriot, and I was watching a long time ago the I Am Heath Ledger documentary, and I believe it was his agent in there who said that he was an actor who almost backed out of every project that he ever had because he didn't have the confidence, and especially working with his idol Mel Gibson and being on set, that he called his agent and was like, I don't know what to do. I'm lacking the confidence. I don't know if I can do this. Do you remember him coming to you with concerns like that on set ever?
Well, he was the only guy who ran out of audition.
What happened?
Well, I auditioned him, like you normally audition people, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the audition, he says, I suck, and ran out.
He said out loud, I suck.
Wow.
What
We have it
did
on
he
camera.
Did you call him after
did he
that?
suck?
Well,
in his
no.
audition?
I then said, I turned to April Webster, my casting director, and said, April, bring him back. He was good. Kid was good. So she needed 3 weeks to talk him into coming back.
Oh, shit.
And when he came back, he had blue hair. Honest to God.
Wow.
And then I luckily had like a hat, one of these, hats they have in this time, and then I put that on him,
tricorner.
so we don't see the blue hair. And then he kind of got through the thing, and then and then he was just like the perfect actor for this part.
Why do you think that he thought he sucked?
He was very insecure about himself, always. He always was not really happy with what he did. But that's actually good for an actor, because if they're too confident, they will never, ever improve.
That's always been my issue.
And that
Really?
came out on set sometimes? Would he?
Yes, that was like kind of, for example, we did like the death scene of him, first him, and then we like ran out of light, and then at one point Mel did his, and Mel was so good. I mean, he was just good, and then. Then he comes to me, can I do my scene again? Because he was just so kind of thought, And then I have to give it to Mel. Mel then acted exactly what he acted in his shot, even he was not in camera for Heath.
So he was delivering the same performance even though he wasn't on film.
Yeah.
Do you think that he does that for everybody, or because he saw that Heath was so...
No, he saw that like kind of Heath was struggling.
Wow.
And I mean,
And also, you have to also understand, my sister and I were the only ones who really kind of believed that Heath can do it. And everybody else, like Sony, Dean Devlin, even Mel, kind of thought, we tested 2 actors, and everybody wanted to hear the other actor.
Do you remember who it was?
No, I cannot say that.
But it was somebody who's
but
working?
he was the bigger name.
Oh, okay.
And so I kind of like had to call Mel and saying, look, I like the other guy better. I like Heath better. And then he says, well, you're the director, and hangs up on me. And I said to everybody, okay, Mel said yes. And he said, I have the decision, so let's do it. And then I actually at that time called immediately my first AD and said, can we like schedule Heath and Mel scenes all in the first week, so we know right away if this works.
Oh, wow.
And then after 3 days, Mel came to me and said, you were right, I was wrong.
What was it about Heath that made you think it was him over somebody else?
There was something noble about him. There was something honest. This was not, there was some real honesty about him. I cannot like say it differently, but I think as an actor, you cannot play or act certain characteristics. You have to have them. Right. And I think that was a little bit, why like Heath was became such a big actor, because there was something real about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was something about him which was just
like genuine
like honorable.
Mm-hmm.
He was that person, but he was incredibly insecure.
Right. And
At least at the beginning when I worked with him.
Speaking of Heath and Mel, and you've obviously worked with, I mean, Midway, if you look at the cast, it's crazy. It's got Luke Evans, Patrick Wilson, Aaron Eckhart. I mean, you work with some of the
Mandy
biggest
Moore.
names. Everyone is in this
Scribe.
movie. Even Nick
boy.
Jonas and Darren Criss. Is there, like, Will Smith? Like, you work with so many legends, not just actors, but obviously in the filmmaking industry. Like, who's somebody that really, like, whether it's Heath or someone else that you love working with or that you would love to work with again?
Woody. Because he can be so different. Look at him in 2012. He was this crazy, guy, and here he was this like really kind of very grounded, like admiral. He's really good. I mean, I have to say, it's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty great. He's great in everything.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly, he's great in everything.
He's really great in everything.
And so you talk. You were 98 was Godzilla. So you've had this script and this idea for Midway for so long. So the fight for this movie must have been just incredible.
Well, it was also like kind of that when we offered it to all the studios, studios said, "Oh, this is a great script. How much does it cost?" And we said at that time, it was like maybe our mistake. We thought we need like 125 million. And everybody said, well, it's way too expensive. And so actually my agency, said, why we don't put it back together independently? So we put it back together independently. We had to come down with the budget by 27 million or so. Okay. So we made it for 98 million. And but it was like only need roughly 75 million in cash, because the rest is all like kind of soft money, like tax rebate and stuff like that.
Right.
So and it was like kind of, it was just like I so wanted to make this film because I always knew this is like kind of, you know what I mean? It's one of these things where you put a monument to some guys who, our world is like this because of these guys. Yeah. And we sometimes forget that. I have to really say that. Sometimes you forget, and that's why I think it's good to once in a while, make a World War II movie to kind of tell their stories, because it was the greatest generation, in our lifetime.
Right.
Did you make any of the actors watching like a History Channel documentary about Midway or documentaries that you gave to them?
Well, we did a lot for them. We had like kind of a couple of documentary everybody had to watch. One was like called The Fighting Lady, which is a great documentary about, it was like shot 1942-43 on an aircraft carrier.
Oh, wow.
And it was in color, and it's 1 hour long. It's really, really a great thing. And we used a lot of information of that. We had all kinds of other documentaries. Also, they had to read certain books. And it was great that we started in Pearl Harbor. Because in Pearl Harbor, we had like people bringing them to the Arizona Memorial and to this and to that, and they all of a sudden all felt the responsibility we have.
Right.
Because that's always like kind of what everybody forgets. There's still families alive of these guys, and it's not. I mean, they're all pretty much, all passed away. But
My grandfather is 94, fought in World War II.
see, and they're like still
around.
alive,
Yeah.
and their families, and you want to do a really good job.
Yeah.
And how did you? I mean, I thought the most beautiful part of this movie, because I don't want to spoil anything, but it's very clear that you're honoring these people that fought in these wars, and you even make it a point to in the movie, make sure that people know who they are, know their names, what ended up happening, after the movie, even in their lives, and how did you, other than the documentaries, like, what you and your team, how did you go about researching about all these veterans?
Well, we had like a huge research team. We had like kind of everywhere for people, telephone numbers of people they could call. There was this great kind of group. It's called the Midway Roundtable. They exist since like, I don't know how long, but they're like kind of really knowledgeable. And I talked several times with them. And because it was also little things, when you all of a sudden make a movie, then it's all of a sudden, oh, what does a radio man do in this situation? What he does in that situation? It's not only the pilot, because it's the radio man has this turn.
Right.
It's super complicated. And so there were a lot of details we had to know. And then on the set, we always had a military historian, always on thing. And for example, I always like explain little things sometimes came from these people. For example, on the flight deck, which we built a third of, of the Enterprise, we had a guy called Chuck. And Chuck was like kind of surfing on a carrier in the 50s and early 60s. And they were still the same carriers. And then in the 60s, they started rejiggling them and make the deck a little bit different. But at one point, now you saw the film, there is like kind of this friend of one of our lead characters waiting for his friends to come back. And I kind of said, when he turns, how does he know nobody's coming back anymore? And then I went to Chuck, and Chuck said, what are they doing in a moment like that? Well, we would like have to pick, we always like formed a line and picking up little scraps and screws, because
I love that shot.
Because that is like kind of, that's what's like kind of tells people, okay, this is over. And now it gets cleaned for the first scouting flight, right? And I immediately thought, oh my God, let's do this, and then we did it. And that's like kind of where somebody who was surfing there knew what would get this across, that like nobody will come back.
Question for you, because hearing you talk about the entire process of this movie, and even all of the movies that you've made, recently, I think it was last night, that Martin Scorsese came out with his big New York Times piece talking about how he feels like franchise movies, especially superhero movies, have really cornered the market, and they're making it hard for any non-franchise movies to be created right now, regardless of budget or anything like that. Do you feel the same way, that the superhero movies are the movies that are making it very challenging to make whatever independent movie that you want to make?
Absolutely. I mean, he's totally right in that point. To call them not movies is a joke.
To call them not cinema.
Yeah, they are cinema. I mean, they're like kind of, some are great cinema. I mean, the first Iron Man is a great movie. And so that said, yes, certain franchise movies, and it's a very simple thing to explain. If you have a name like Joker, everybody knows Joker, so that you don't have to even explain anything anymore, because that is a IP everybody will know. Batman, Superman, Avengers. It's all these names, and it's super hard to get overall, like kind of name recognition in films which are new. It's so simple, and if you don't like kind of go out like a year before and start spending like big money, it's super hard to get these movies, into the minds of people. And then they have so much other stuff to watch. I mean, they have Netflix, they have Amazon, they have Hulu. They, pretty soon they have like 4 or 5 streaming services. It must get harder and harder. But I also like say it is what it is. I mean, it is.
Does it open more opportunities for work for you or for fellow directors and things, and maybe they aren't per se?
I had to kind of change my ways. I mean, I'm not doing them all, like independent. Luckily, I am well known enough, so people all over the world give me money. So I just collect the money from all over the world. Right. And actually, the cool thing about it is I can make my movies exactly like I do. Right. I'm the studio and not somebody else. You know what I mean? That's also really, really cool, because I don't know if a studio would have went with a movie which doesn't have any big cheering scenes in a war movie. We have a lot of Japanese in the movie, and tell their stories really kind of thoroughly. They would have said, let's cut this all out, or you know what I mean? There's I wouldn't.
You had more control.
I had more. Yes, I had total control. I could cast who I wanted. I could make the movie like I wanted, and because there's so many people involved on the financing side, and I have always in my contract final cut, so I can do whatever I want.
I mean, humanizing an enemy too when you're making a war movie is extremely important.
That was for me extremely important, to not kind of create new cliches or new stereotypes. I mean, I think for me it was very important to make a war movie where in wars there are no winners. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And that's why I'm at the end, really kind of lay it out that everybody is a little bit depressed and contemplative.
Did that perfect. That's exactly the sense that I felt at the end, was like, wow, I mean, there might be a winner, but nobody won here. And I do want to go back to something you just said about casting whoever you want, because I remember reading a while ago, and I wanted to have you elaborate on this. I remember reading that when you were casting Will Smith, initially there was a lot of pushback against that, and you wanted to cast who you want. You talked about casting Heath Ledger and now Will Smith. What was the pushback on Will Smith?
Well, they said he is a TV actor. They said at that time he's a TV actor. And I said, well, it's like, for me, he's the best possible actor to play this part. And they also had like a problem with Jeff Goldblum, you know. And I said like to them, guys, you know, these are the two guys I want, and that's it. And it took me 3 or 4 months.
Jeez.
To kind of finally get heard, because I just like refused to cast anybody else.
It's awesome.
Wow.
And
So they just wanted all big names, basically.
not even big names, but they introduced other names to me, but I thought they don't do it for me.
Okay.
And it was as simple as that. And Dean Devlin at that time, we stood firm. We said like, this is it. And then, because don't forget, at that time we had auctioned this project. There was constantly Universal calling us up. We hear there's like trouble. Well, like kind of, I said, yeah, it's about Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum. He said, you can have him with us, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I then like kind of at that time told naturally the Fox people, I said like, Universal would cast him.
Smart.
And go ahead.
The theme
No, but like you
kinda-
have to be straight
Yeah,
with these things.
yeah.
It's a
And
deal.
you know
It's
what?
the art of the
You know
deal.
what?
It really
You know
is.
what? And it's really
True.
It's really. I would say casting is always for me was the hardest with studios.
Yeah.
Because they just have a different opinion,
Right.
and I believe I'm a good caster. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? For me,
You are.
casting is for me one of the biggest jobs I have in my movies.
Yeah. Is there something that actors actors do or don't do in the room that you either hate or love in auditions, or is just so subjective? Do you know what I mean?
Well, look. Every actor is different,
Yeah.
and every actor has a different method. For example, Jeff Goldblum, when he was like doing, he's not doing it anymore, but when he was doing the first Independence Day, was always singing. I'm a cable guy. And you're like, you get after a while, you're like saying, is there something wrong? Is that? And then like kind of Judd
a
Hirsch
music man.
start singing too, and it was like, oh my God, this is getting really absurd, you know.
When you wrote the speech for Bill Pullman in Independence Day, did you know that?
I didn't wrote it. This was Dean Devlin.
Okay.
And I said like to Dean, do like something like Henry V. And he said, oh, okay, let me. And then he came back and said, it's rough, you know, but like we will change it. Never changed it.
Wow.
I mean, it's pretty
so
iconic.
good.
It's a very iconic.
In 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
No way.
Yes. We wrote the whole script in 3 weeks.
So good.
Never
Sam,
changed
that's
one
insane.
word.
When he punches the alien and says "Welcome to Earth," was that improv?
Yes, but like not totally, because I always like, look, this was like this. Dean always like said to me, but you know, it's like there's no humor in this. And I said, well, there will be, because one of the guy will outfly one of the aliens, and then, you know, and then he will crash it, and then he will like walk up to the thing, and then he will like kind of punch the alien and say, "Welcome to Earth." And he said, and then like Dean said, "Oh, that's funny. That's good. That's good. That's good." That's like how we, you know, he always was criticizing, and then I had to come up with something.
It's
Oh my God,
incredible.
that's great.
I feel
really, really quick, I just wanted to ask about, since we're talking about Independence Day, why did you decide to make a sequel? And do we see, can you talk about future projects or other sequels that you want to do?
Oh, well, I mean, I thought, you know, the sequel was a little bit a weird situation, because I had first like wrote 1 or 2 scripts for Will, and then Will decided to kind of do Suicide Squad, which I was like really, you know, I have to say a little bit weirded out by. And then I had.
What do you mean weirded out?
I made the first film with him where he was worldwide star, right? I mean.
So you
What was
felt
the
like
first movie where Will Smith really popped?
Independence Day.
Yeah.
Welcome
Independence
to
Day.
Earth, yeah.
so more than weirded out, you felt like
Yeah, a little bit disappointed.
Okay.
I have to say. And then I had already like kind of the whole crew was together. Everything was already working, and then we kind of very fast wrote another script, you know. And it's never good when you start with something like this and then you do that. So I think it was not as good as it should have been. And then I also like kind of said to myself, gosh, I'm not like that also sequels. I'm always against sequels. Maybe that's like kind of the comeuppance, that you will say, I hate sequels, and then you do one, and then it's not so good. Anyhow, no, I have no real plans for doing any sequels or anything.
Okay.
Interesting.
Well, this is a movie that definitely needs no sequel. Midway, guys, November 8th in theaters. Go check it out, Midway. Roland Emmerich, thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate having you. Guys, we'll be back. We got a ton of news to discuss. We're going to take some live calls. We'll see you very shortly.
Hey guys, it's Perry here to let you know that Movie Talk is moving. We've had a great time in this 3 p.m. Pacific slot, but guess what? We want you to start your day with Collider Movie Talk, so we're moving. 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to get a longer show with some brand new segments, so tune in starting Monday, September 16th, 9 a.m. Pacific. See you there.
Hey everyone, John Roca here, the host of Collider Sports Time. Well, if you've been watching us every week, we break down the latest and the greatest in the world of sports, talk about the big issues, the big games, all of it, the rotating band of guests like Matt Nose and Josh McCouga. We've had Taylor Bisciotti on. We've had so many great guests.
Wow.
Now, if you want to see more of Sports Time or you want to try it out for the first time, remember to subscribe to Collider Sports YouTube channel for all the sports goodness.
Hey guys, it's Riley here. Let me tell you about the Riley Roundtable. You know it, right? It drops every Thursday on Collider Conversations, and I have guests from all across the space. John Roca, Gray Drake, Alexander Desplat came on at one point. We talk everything from movies, we talk about life, and everything in between. What do you want to hear? What do you want to talk about? It's the Riley Roundtable every Thursday on Collider Conversations. You get it there.
Hi, I'm Coy Jandreau, host of Collider Heroes, and I'm here to tell you we've got 20-minute episodes coming at you on Collider Video, on the YouTube, as you've always loved it. Plus, now we've got hour-long podcasts dropping every Thursday, so make sure to subscribe to the podcast because it's going to get even more sweaty on the podcast. Plus, every week, we're going to try to get some very special guest interviews, all of the people that help shape these movies and TV shows you love. So, video, podcast, interviews, all coming at you. Be sure to subscribe. Thanks so much, guys. Stay sweaty.
What's up, Collider fans? Ryan Satin here from ProWrestlingSheet.com, where you can find the top stories throughout the week in the world of professional wrestling. If you're a wrestling fan like myself, then you'd be doing yourself a disservice by not checking out all the shows we do every week on YouTube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet. In particular, on Wednesdays, we've got a SmackDown recap show hosted by John Roca and myself, where we pick apart and talk about every little thing that happened on the Blue Brand. So do yourself a favor and go subscribe at youtube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet.
Hey guys, Riley here, and let me tell you about Rule of Two. You looking for a Star Wars fix? Well, Rule of Two is that show. It drops on Collider Video's main YouTube channel, as well as on Podcast One's Jedi Council feed. So go over there, subscribe, share it with your friends. It's hosted by myself and Mark Fernandez. We talk everything in the Star Wars universe with a lot of deep dives and a lot of conversations that go all in. You know what to do. Subscribe, join us there, and rise.
Hey everyone, John Roca here, the host of Collider Mailbag. A new episode drops every Saturday and Sunday in your face and in your ears, answering the questions from you fans about the world of entertainment, film, and television. Me and great guests from our sphere do the best to answer your questions from Twitter, from Instagram, and of course, email as well, every Saturday and Sunday.
Hi, I'm Amy Dallin, one of the hosts of Collider Heroes, and starting right now, you can catch our show Tuesday nights with a new Collider Heroes and a longer Collider Heroes podcast, where Coy and I are gonna talk your ears off. You already know that's coming. So make sure to go to YouTube, subscribe, and find us on the Collider Heroes podcast feed for all of that sweaty goodness.
The Witching Hour is all over Collider right now. You can listen to that horror-filled podcast with myself, with Haleigh Foutch. We talk about witchiness, we talk about slashers, we talk about space horror, you name it, all on that show on the Collider Factory feed. And on top of that, you can find an article all about Witching Hour every single Tuesday on Collider.com. Check it out, get scared. Hopefully you survive the Witching Hour.
Welcome back to Collider Live. Woo! I'm sure glad we make ourselves laugh here. Hopefully we do the same thing for you guys. We have a ton of news to go over today, and definitely we're going to be taking calls. How about
Can we
that?
just talk about that for a second?
Great.
You guys.
How about that Roland
that
Emmerich, am I
guy?
right?
I'm such a proud producer.
Oh, I
Such
didn't
a
know what he was
producer.
going to say right now because he was doing the point, and it could have gone either way.
I know. I'm like, what are you doing?
I have notes. No, I'm kidding. You guys were fantastic. It was a great interview. I was in there with the chat. A lot of people. You hit questions where the chat literally went, "Thank you."
Yeah.
Like they were like, "Yes."
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's great.
he's amazing. That Jeff Goldblum
Yeah.
thing he did was
He
incredible.
was always singing.
Yeah.
That's Goldblum.
But he
for you.
sounded like it.
And do you
It's
know
so
how hard
good.
it was for me as a person who legit? I mean, I don't want to name drop, but I lived in Germany for a little bit, and I love the German accent. And my Danish Christian Harloff is a German accent.
Oh my God, I felt it coming. I was like, Josh is going to break into Danish
know.
Christian Harloff. What are we going to do when he
Yeah.
does it? What are we going to do?
I held back for 30 minutes, guys.
I'm so
Thank
proud
you.
of
Somebody
you.
Thank you. I've
mesmerized by
never
Roland
been more
Emmerich.
proud of
Somebody
you
in the
before.
chat
So
was
proud.
looking at your hands, going, "He wants to do it.
He wants to do
He
it.
wants to
Yeah.
do it."
I'm so glad you didn't do
No,
it.
me too. Listen, I am 90% ridiculous, 10% professional, and I was right in that 10% that whole time.
I'm
Okay,
really
I was
proud of
trying
you.
so hard.
I do want to give a shout out to our chat, though. You guys have been so amazing, live commenting along and also commenting afterwards, tweeting at us.
Yep.
And we want to ask the questions that you want to know, which is why hopefully we can start announcing our guests the day before. I know we have a big guest coming in tomorrow, Riley.
Oh yeah. Do you want to
Jacob
announce?
Seymour
Thank
is
you.
coming in. Yay!
I wanted
am
you to.
so
I was like,
excited.
I was like, can I say it?
Look
Do I have
into
the
my
producer
eyes.
yet?
Yes, yes.
I'm so
I
excited.
mean, this is huge. Josh,
Okay, so-
let me ask, did you move your entire work venture just for this? Yeah, it does seem like
So,
that.
first of all, I didn't know Roland Emmerich was coming in, and you're like, "Hey, Roland Emmerich's coming in tomorrow." I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Independence Day is one of the greatest movies of all time."
You
Second.
dumb.
Sometimes it comes together really fast.
Yeah.
Like,
I love that
like
you asked
Sunday.
I love that you asked the Welcome to Earth thing.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, come on. That's like I've been waiting to ask that question since I was 10 years old.
Awesome.
So then you told me like 2 weeks ago, you're like, "I think we're getting Jane Seymour for like November." I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be gone," and then it gets pushed, and I was like, "Hey, is that Jane Seymour still thing on the name?" 'Cause Jane Seymour, like, this is gonna sound inappropriate. I mean, I might as well
She's
say
the
it too.
hottest.
And everyone will agree
She
with
was
you.
like Dr. Quinn medicine was like a sexual awakening for me when I was like 11
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Same.
mean? I was
Yeah.
like, wait a second.
do know what you mean.
Like
Yes.
Woman on the Prairie, I was like, holy moly, Jane Seymour.
I'm
My
feeling
God.
things. Why?
She's
Yeah.
a cool. Also, what's that movie? Is it
Wedding
Wedding Crashers?
Wedding Crashers.
She's so
She
fucking
is
cool
so
in it.
good.
I was like, I want to be also a cougar like that.
I mean,
That's so hot when I grow up.
so
I
She's so
believe
cool.
in you, D.
I think I'm getting there.
you can do it.
You're there, Dorina. I think you've.
I just hope she.
I just gotta be
I'm
40-ish.
excited. I'm very
So
excited.
the point is, though, if you have questions for Jane Seymour, tweet at us, leave it in the
Right.
comments, let us know so that we can definitely try to incorporate you guys in our interviews more.
Yes, and also really quick, Roxy, before we jump into news conversation, I wanted to do a shout out to our fellow Collider Jedi Council new host,
Yes.
Mr. Ken Knapsack,
Emma Fife,
Ace Cabrera.
hell yeah.
That's our team
I
right
mean,
there.
pretty badass.
Yes.
Like, what an epic trio. And I can't wait to watch it. Starts on Thursday with the three of them.
Yes.
So I definitely check it out.
I saw Ace here yesterday. I hadn't seen Ace in so long.
So
Ace is one of my
cool.
favorite dudes on
He's
the
great.
planet. He's one of, I busted his balls every week in and week out on Schmoes Know for always carrying a gallon of water with him. And then my wife came home with a gallon water bottle that she bought off Amazon. And I was like, babe, you can just go to 7-Eleven and buy a gallon. And she's
it's
like,
hard to carry home.
I understand that. But Ace is the place where the helpful gallon water bottle went. And he, like,
Was that part of the?
Ace
You were
is the
going
place
there.
where the
Yeah,
helpful
I was
water
like
goes.
that. I've heard that.
And he, like,
Cody got it, I guess.
the most hype, but I hadn't seen him in so long. We hugged so hard yesterday. I was like, Ace, yes! And then I didn't know that he was going to be the new co-host of Jedi Council. It makes me very happy. He's an amazing guy, and super psyched for Emma Fife because she's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
a
same-
lucky.
But fuck Ken, I don't.
Same, and not same. He rocks. Let's talk a little Watchmen, though, guys, before we get into news.
Ooh,
Because,
I like that.
Yeah, we're just talking about Star Wars nerdy things, Watchmen equally as nerdy, and we already ripped on comic books enough today. So let's actually give some praise
Is
because.
Watchmen a comic book?
Are you serious?
Oh my God.
I
didn't
literally
know what
believed you.
to-
I literally just believed you for a second.
Sorry, I'm
because
no longer on the show. I just
I didn't
died.
even know what to say just now. Like I didn't even know how to anything.
Well,
but,
Josh,
yes, the
when
end
a
of
man
Yes, it
loves
is.
a
It's one
woman.
of the best graphic novels ever written. Yes.
sorry,
Alan Moore is shaking somewhere with heat. That people don't even know.
Although Alan Moore
I feel
probably
like he doesn't care, though.
Yeah, he doesn't care, and I think he
Are
really
you
hates
making
Watchmen.
a joke?
Yeah.
Alan Moore cares more about everything than anybody.
No, he-
About important things, not like the stupid shit we
Well,
talk
I
about.
heard he doesn't
feel
like. I heard he doesn't like Watchmen.
Alan Moore has
The
an
movie.
issue
the movie
with
and the
Are you
series.
kidding?
Does he not like the series either?
Oh my
Yeah.
God,
Roxy.
Dorina, he's been so vocal. F this, F that,
Yeah.
hate the fucking series, hate the movie,
Yeah.
screw you all
I
for
believe he
taking
put
my
a-
art. Yeah,
I think he
he's
put a
livid as
puking
shit.
emoji for an announcement of the HBO series.
Dave Gibbons is like, I like it. and Alan Moore is like, piss off, everyone, give it back
It's
to me.
sort of like Green Book. Like I watched Green Book and I was like, I really like this movie. And then every black person I know was like, that movie is shit. And I was like, please explain why. And now I understand. Now I get it.
Now you understand.
But
Yeah.
Alan-
do we
understand
have?
it.
Do I would love to read like actual quotes that.
Alan Moore believes that he should be involved in working on all things Watchmen.
He's not wrong.
So he hated the movie as well, like even the director's cut. He hated all of
he's
them.
talked more about it, and maybe we can actually do a deep dive into that at some
Yeah.
point because we are going to be talking Watchmen more often on this show.
We should bring in Haleigh Foutch because she wrote an excellent article about why the Watchmen movie ending being changed from the graphic novel actually makes sense. So, yeah.
So
maybe she can come in if she can.
She wrote an article about what she liked how
She
it went
loved
from
Watchmen.
squid to explosion in the movie.
Yeah, like she basically wrote why she thinks that it's it actually because people were mad at the ending change, where they were mad at Zack Snyder for changing that or the
Right,
screenplay writer,
right.
and so she actually makes
It
really
made
good
it-
points.
It's so much smarter for a movie. I mean,
I agree. Yeah, because you can, some things from comic books don't translate to film.
however, they've been very clear about this TV show that they're going from the graphic novel, not from the movie, which is why we have squid falling from the sky and whatnot.
I love that.
Which does make all the sense. So, Riley, you are 3 episodes deep into Watchmen.
Oh, yeah.
Dorina, you're 3 episodes deep
Yes,
into
I am
Watchmen.
all caught
We are
up.
all caught
Josh,
up.
I know is as well.
Gentlemen, Haleigh Foutch.
Yes, Haleigh Foutch.
Hey, how you doing, Haleigh?
All right.
Josh was like, I'm done talking
Josh was
comic
like-
books for the day. Hey,
Josh just asked us if Watchmen was a comic book, so you know.
So
but
we-
it was a joke.
He was
So we
kidding.
did
He was
swap
kidding.
him out for you for our Watchmen discussion. Is this your first time on the show?
It is.
Yay!
Hey, Haleigh. Welcome,
Yeah.
Collider Live.
Thank you.
So Dorina was just telling me that you wrote an awesome article about Watchmen and why they changed the graphic novel to the movie ending in the movie. So we thought you'd be a great person to join our Watchmen episode 3 discussion.
Sure. Yes, let's do it.
Are
What
you all
is this?
caught
I
up
like
to the?
this.
This is my. I
She's
just got off another podcast,
I don't know where
and
to
I'm
put
in
my
another
hands.
room, and I'm
I thought you were
framing
doing
my face.
hexes, so I was trying to join you in
Yes.
the hexing. So,
Maybe we do the
yeah.
superstar.
Yeah. Well, you know, Collider Witching Hour. So we're actually trying to do Collider Bitching Hour, by the way.
Yes.
So there's
like that.
It
Please,
must happen.
please
You need
involve
a
me.
producer? Sure.
Yeah.
So are you caught up 3 episodes deep into Watchmen right now?
Yes,
How
I
are you
am.
feeling about the show?
I love it. I love it. I've seen the first 6, and I just think it's brilliant.
Okay, let me ask you a question about this then, because I was texting another friend of mine this morning, and I said that episode 2 of the 3 is my favorite so far. And she says most people who have seen all 6 say episode 2 was the weakest of all 6 of them. And it's my
interesting.
favorite so far.
Interesting. Why is it your favorite? Like, without spoiling, I guess.
I felt like the first episode, it was a lot to process. I really liked it, but
Right.
it was like I was so caught up and distraught about watching the Tulsa riots and everything that happened and feeling like the most ignorant shit for not even knowing that I couldn't even fully invest myself in the rest of the episode because I was like, I can't believe I live on this planet. And then episode 2, I was fully in the world. We got a lot more Watchmen references. And episode 3 I liked fine, but it was very Silk Spectre heavy, and I wanted to touch base with our other characters a little more. So that's why 2 is my favorite so far. But people were saying that it was the weakest of the 6. Do you feel that way?
I do, and I didn't know that was sort of the consensus, but I do agree with it. It's also still a fantastic episode because I think it's a fantastic television show.
Yeah.
But I do the subsequent episodes that I've seen are a bit more focused, so they might not be as much to your taste.
Like more character driven.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Riley?
I'm all for it. This is the thing about Watchmen that I love so much is that, of course, I know the graphic novel, but I'm surprised every episode. By the end of every episode, I just blink and it's over, and I'm like, I love it. So they can take me wherever they want. If it's more character, if it's more deep dives on certain characters, fine. I can't wait for it.
It's all world building. It's not just like, side sobbing story for an hour. Like it's like this last week's was, where it was very focused on her, but it also showed us the most of the world we've seen yet.
This is my favorite episode.
No, I
Episode
agree.
3 is my favorite I don't want to spoil it, for a character that I think a lot of people were wondering about, and we get some information. We get a great kind of tease at the end. I just wonder where it's going. I really am surprised at how well they're pulling this off and keeping like the building of this world that we know from the comic book. And I love that it's taking place after the comic book and not the movie.
Right.
Dee, how are you feeling?
I didn't really know what to expect, because with Lindelof, I go back and forth. I love half of Prometheus. I love half of Lost.
How do you feel about Leftovers?
Christian Rualcava keeps yelling at me to watch it, so
Oh,
I need
it's
to get
the
on
best
that.
I've
show.
never seen it.
It's the
No.
best show ever.
Yes.
So there's that.
Okay, well, I will have to put it on my
Drop
list.
that on the table,
Yeah.
and then you guys can look at that.
When I'm done with What We Do in the Shadows, I will check it out.
There's nothing there, Riley.
Yeah. Oh, you're making got
There's
it.
imaginary leftovers
Yeah.
that
Got
we
it.
can eat later.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's a very difficult task to adapt content from a comic book that's well beloved, especially that's not a direct adaptation of it, right? And so I think what they've done here is really I'm very impressed with not only how relevant to our current times these topics are in the show, but the kind of doing the spin-off of these characters is really impressive. Like I mean, see, Jeremy Irons, I mean, he's just so perfect for Ozymandias is what I call him in Spanish. How do you call it? Ozymandias in English?
It's fine either way, actually.
Okay, Ozymandias is one.
A lot of times you'll say something and I'm like, huh? No, that was pretty dead on.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And so I think it's great to see an hour every week where you can actually get to know these characters more, because we haven't been able to do that, and introduce these new characters. Regina King is fantastic in it. The score. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. I'm obsessed with it. I've been listening to it.
It's the best thing ever.
It's just incredible.
When I was watching the screeners for the first time, I somehow didn't process that's who it was, but I noticed that like every time I'd hit play on an episode, I'd be sitting in my bed. Like,
Yep.
yeah.
That's what I did. I forgot they were doing that.
Yes. It was amazing.
I like a subtle groove.
Yeah.
When you're like feeling yourself move and you're like, oh yeah.
At first I thought it was Matt Quayle from Mr. Robot, but then I saw the end credits that it was Trent and Atticus. I was like, that of course that makes sense. So Haleigh, I had a question for you, because you clearly love the graphic novel enough to write all of the amazing articles you write. So what is your biggest takeaway from this series as to what, since you've seen more episodes than us, that they're trying to do that's different to the graphic novel that we know, but actually like keeps the essence of all these characters that we've grown to love?
I think it's a phenomenal act of world building, and that like it's very clear that the writers of the show treat the graphic novel like a Bible. Like that is the world we're working from, everything there happened, and what comes next. And in keeping with the spirit of the graphic novel, they are taking big, wild, ballsy, insane swings when they decide how to answer the question of what comes next.
Mm-hmm. Swings with big blue dongs.
That's a keen point.
Thank you so much.
Literally.
That doesn't
like a big dong swing.
Doesn't make it to most shows, but in the spirit of Watchmen, they said, "Fuck it, let's have a giant blue dildo."
Yeah, that was so fantastic.
Because why not?
There's
There
a
it is.
spoiler for this Sunday, guys. It's a great spoiler, though.
Sorry, continue. The dong got in the way. I couldn't help it. It always
Collider
does.
dong talk. Here we go. Did I get it? Yeah. Okay.
But it's stuff like that. There's in eagerness to be playful and weird and push the boundaries, and also while doing all these things, while having the big dong tackle insanely complicated subject matters. Like in the first one, it was the threat of nuclear annihilation and the Cold
Kinda
War.
big.
How do you,
A little big.
Yeah, it's not a villain you can punch in the face.
Right.
They're now doing that with things that are much more pressing to our timeline. Domestic terrorism, the way that racism and white supremacy has been embroiled into our government and structures for centuries.
Yeah.
Again, can't punch that in the face. Super hard to fight. So these are really expansive, weird, crazy ideas that are shown in such bold ways. I think it's, even though Alan Moore clearly didn't want this show made, it's the most in his spirit that it could have been.
Yeah, and I pulled up that article, throw it to the table here. He doesn't want he stands by that it's a comic. That's what it is. It shouldn't be anything other than a comic. So he doesn't want to attach his name to anything, movie, television, or otherwise. It's only supposed to exist in a comic, which I find a fascinating take.
So he's just pissed that it's just being adapted differently, not so much that, but does he actually hate the content of the series?
He doesn't like that he doesn't have creative control and that it's not going the way that he initially saw this, and his view and vision of it is not changing with the years and technology. He just wants it to be what he wants it to be. He doesn't like when it's adapted even in comic book form by different authors. So
he
it's
didn't
not
like
just the
Doomsday
comic thing.
Clock or whatever.
No, he doesn't like when somebody else attempts Minutemen, and when somebody else attempts to do any spin-off regardless of form, even though he keeps saying it's because it's not a comic book. Well, even when it is a comic book, you don't like it.
Yeah,
because it's not you.
It does go more to that. Here's his quote. He also refuses to be associated with adaptations of his work he doesn't control, like Watchmen. My book is a comic book, not a movie, not a novel, a comic book, he told Entertainment Weekly in 2005. It's been made in a certain way and designed to be read a certain way. In the HBO show's credit, this is interesting, Gibbons is credited as a co-creator of the original comic, but Moore's name is nowhere to be found.
I see that every single time in the opening credits and in the closing. Gibbons' name is everywhere.
Yeah.
And he said really positive things about the show.
He fully supports it. I will say that, like, as far as his concerns about format, and those are older quotes that are, being updated because he doesn't do a lot of interviews. The other thing I think they've really captured is the format and the structure of the storytelling within the graphic novel, and the way you have the Black Freighter in the comic series that is being mimicked in. I understand we're not doing spoilers here. Right?
Yeah.
Kind of keeping it that way, yeah.
You want to know what? We're kind of playing it by ear on this show. I got the sense from you guys we weren't doing spoilers, so it's spoiler free.
Let's keep it spoiler light. How
I'll
about
just
that?
say light is a perfect.
Yeah.
That format is being echoed in the storyline of Jeremy Irons' character.
Yes, it is.
And the story of the Black Freighter was always meant to tie into his arc anyway. So it's a brilliant sort of reflection on a reflection on a reflection that I think is staggering. And the more you dig into the nerdier aspects of the show and the way it's presented, the more you see how faithfully and absurdly just devoted they are to the comic and to trying to recreate it in a new medium.
Yeah, because it's interesting to think about how when it was first, not pitched, but when we first saw the first trailer, right, when we didn't know what the show was really going to be about, so many fans got mad at the way they were handling Rorschach, right? And I kind of was,
one of them.
Well, not mad, because I've matured, and I've tried not to get pissed at something I haven't seen. That was not the case when I was younger. But so I was very pissed off at Batfleck. Really dumb. But so
I was pissed that gal was too skinny, so I'm with you.
Yeah, I was pissed about Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. I was right about that. But anyways, I think that what they've done is actually really clever, and it makes sense. And it's a character that we've all grown to understand, even though he's an anarchist and extreme anarchist at times, right? But it makes sense that would happen, that these people would grab him as a symbol for them and their belief system. I think it's fascinating.
And the whole show is ultimately about belief and what we believe, what we choose to believe, what we're taught to believe, and how beliefs can be perverted, how they can be censored, how they can be changed to enforce society structures, to enforce law and order, or something worse.
Exactly.
Final question for you, because we do have to talk about something everybody wants to talk about eventually, Fantastic Beasts 3. I know you guys are so excited.
My God, I know.
But before we get to that, so I know you can't say anything specific, but of 4, 5, and 6, is there one of those we should be super excited for?
Yes, all of them, but definitely 5 and 6 for very different reasons. 5, the first 10 minutes, people are gonna freaking lose their minds.
Yay.
6 is a much slower, what? And it's very artsy and it's a long, focused story. But 5, like, you'll see immediately why I was like, get hyped for that one.
Is it?
Damn.
Ooh, okay, I'll do that. Is it only 6 episodes or is it 8 episodes?
It's
or
9.
9. Okay, good.
So this is another thing. I don't know if this is true. This is a theory I've been kicking around with my friends. Is it 9 episodes because Watchmen was told in pages with 9 little boxes?
That's,
I don't know.
I think you're onto
Maybe.
something.
That's really nerdy
like
and
that theory.
also possibly
Feels
true.
like something they
yeah.
do.
Yeah, that's why we invited you to be on our show.
Love all the
Panels,
pillow
that's
nerds.
what they're called, not little boxes.
Thank you so much for joining us
Thank you
today
for
for your
having
first
me.
time being
Yay!
here.
Yeah, please come back.
And on your way out, will you grab Josh and tell him we're going to talk about the most exciting thing again, Fantastic Beasts? That he's just so excited
you had
for
me on
it.
the wrong segment.
Yeah, that's
Actually,
really true.
actually, just walk out and say "bad boys" and he'll run. It's like a dog whistle. So
But we're lying to him. It's not nice, Mark.
Oh, and congratulations to both of you.
Thank you so
thanks,
much.
Haleigh.
Can't wait to have you on more often
thank
if you will come on.
Yes,
Anytime.
Bitchin' Hour, Collider
Yeah.
Bitchin' Hour.
That's similar
We
to
can change
Vagina
that.
Live. Bitchin' Hour,
Yeah.
Vagina Live.
Thanks, Haleigh.
I'm all
Thank you,
for it.
Ro.
However you guys want to do it. If it's bitches live or what is vagina
What about
live?
Batches? That's the cool trendy thing.
Biatches live.
What is that?
What did you do, Josh?
What? What just happened?
Holy shit! He made a blue dildo.
Oh,
He made a blue dildo.
I didn't know what was happening.
It's a blue dildo.
It is
everyone.
a lightsaber.
How many
covered in
customers
blue
is a dildo?
tape.
Hold on. It looks like your dildo is bleeding.
Oh god!
Oh, the blue dong bleeds. Blue dong bleeds.
It's like the dogs.
I told you we've been looking for. Excuse me, we've been looking for a hashtag for our show. Is it or is it not? Blue dong bleeds. Let us know.
So I
Yikes.
was back there. You guys are having an amazing conversation, but then obviously when you get back there, Cody, Alex, and I were like, all right, what if you paint me blue? And I show up. I was like, what if I take my pants off? But we have like a blue thing, and Cody's like, you can't do that. And then I found those little blue balls.
Thank
for
you,
the
Cody,
things.
for being the voice of reason.
And I wrapped tape around a lightsaber.
I have
and
so many thoughts.
we
So
went
many
full
thoughts.
Dr. Manhattan.
All right. Well,
Isn't Haleigh Foutch the best?
She's the best.
Josh, I've learned the only way to keep you around is by dangling a bad boy's carrot.
You held on dangling there a little too long.
I was thinking about the dong still. It's dangly dong. Thank you, Cody.
everybody.
See you guys tomorrow.
So we
Yeah,
will
so-
definitely get to that Bad Boys trailer.
Yeah.
But before we do that, let's talk a little Fantastic Beasts 3, the movie that everybody was clamoring for.
Who is actually excited about this in this room?
Well, Mark, first tell us what's
Aw.
happening, and then
I didn't even see the second one. It keeps coming up on my HBO, and I'm like,
I'm very jealous of you.
Well,
Oh,
okay,
man.
so we do have a release date for, or filming, I should say, is going to be starting in spring of next year, 2020. And Stephen Kloves.
And there was a release date as well,
The release date has always been set. I
Yeah.
believe it's
2021 November, maybe?
Yeah, November 12th, 2021. I think one of the bigger pieces of news for this
I'm doing
for
my Eddie
fans,
Redmayne.
Yeah, for fans that maybe do not get excited over the Fantastic Beasts movies is that Steve Kloves, who co-wrote the screenplay with is co-writing the screenplay with J.K. Rowling. He wrote a number of the Harry Potter movies. I think he wrote most all of them except one. And I think it might have been Half-Blood Prince, but I'm not sure. So he's coming back, and a lot of the fans who aren't really into this new iteration of the Harry Potter universe are like, okay, that's good.
Mark, was he not a part of either 1 or 2 for Fantastic Beasts?
J.K. Rowling wrote the first 2.
Is
And
it,
he
with,
was
is
just
it
J.K.
Rowling within this or just
Rowling.
Rolling? No
Rowling.
S, right?
just rolling.
Mark Morone.
J.K. Rowling.
Maroney.
No
I
S.
believe it's pronounced rolling.
Rowling.
So
That as well.
here's what I'll tell
All the
you.
Harry Potter fans are like,
You could tell me that William Shakespeare was coming back from
Who is
the
that?
dead
Billy Shakespeare over there?
and was writing this movie, and it wouldn't move the needle for me. And here's the thing.
you didn't like any of the of both movies.
I really like the Harry Potter in general, Harry Potter franchise in general. I think it's super fun. I'm not much of a book reader, but I did read the first 4 books. They were fine. The movies were great. I
Did you just say the Harry Potter books were fine?
Yes, I did.
And the movies were great.
I told you I'm not good with the reading.
Oh, right.
It took me a really long time. I would forget what happened by the time I would get to the next chapter. These books were
that should
huge.
be your new bio.
But
I'm not good with
and
the
there,
reading.
at the time there wasn't the audio book thing happening, so whatever. Anyway, or at least there wasn't like the podcast.
I better hear books. I better not go read books.
That's me. You make fun, but that is me.
I'm
So-
our ears.
Why is that my voice?
I don't know. Well, because you did the Joker laugh yesterday, which is like,
It's like a Pee-wee donkey that you're doing.
So I really like Harry Potter. I think it's fun and awesome and magical and great. Fantastic Beasts 1 was tough. Fantastic Beasts 2 was impossible to get through. It was complicated in a way that made me feel really stupid and not fun.
Right.
So that's a really bad combination. Again, I know there are people out there who love both the Fantastic Beasts movies, but to me, the second one made it so that there was nothing they could do in the third one. They have the most incredible cast, and they have butchered them. I don't care about any of the characters the way I cared about the Harry Potter characters. I cared about literally the C-list Harry Potter characters more than I care about Eddie Redmayne's character in this. It's so hard for me to watch.
Right.
So so no writer, no person attached to this is going to make me be like, yeah.
How much money did the first and second ones make?
The first one made good money, I believe.
I think
but
They announced 7 at the time, so the first one must have been fine enough to have 7 Fantastic Beasts movies.
My issue was more so the fact that I feel like Fantastic Beasts in general is like the Hobbit of the Harry Potter franchise, right?
I think you're right on with that. Yeah.
They don't have a
worldwide,
lot of.
it made $815 million. And what about the second one?
We're going to look that up, Josh. You
Thanks.
sit tight.
Thanks, Cody.
600.
Would you guys go to a store?
653. The
Okay,
second
I mean, still pretty damn good.
Yeah,
You know,
because
I mean,
it gets Harry Potter. It's like The Hobbit also made good money,
Correct.
but it didn't need to be 3 movies.
What did the last Harry Potter movie make?
Oh, we're going to look that one up too. Guys.
Thank you so much,
Deathly
Cody
Hallows
and Alex.
over $1 billion, I would say. Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Oh yeah,
The last
That
one,
was-
the last Harry Potter. Yeah.
I want to see this play everybody
1.3
keeps talking
billion.
about.
There it is.
1.3.
The Cursed Child?
Yeah,
And
I
that
want
movie's
Cursed.
going to get made, right?
I can get you tickets. I know
great.
the
I saw
guy
it
who
in
plays
New York.
Harry Potter on stage. is
I
my
want to
friend.
go too.
You want to go?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I want to see this play. I want it to be a movie. I want to see Daniel Radcliffe's dong again in Equus. That's not quite relevant, but I did do that.
It's relevant to me.
Dong talk
It's
today.
relevant to me, Roxy.
Okay, Dorina, what were you
Would
saying?
you guys go to a bread store called Fantastic Yeasts and where to find them?
No.
What
No,
about
because that
beer?
would sound more like yeast infection to us, and we
that's
don't
true.
want to do that.
No.
What
But,
about Beats by Dre does a Harry Potter version of Fantastic Beats and where to find them?
Maybe
Cody
better
liked
than
it.
yeast.
Yeah, it's getting closer.
Yeah.
What about golf shoes, Fantastic Cleats and where to find them?
No.
It's
If it was soccer, I'd be with you.
Oh, soccer.
Dorina, I want to
Monday.
hear. I want to hear what you were saying.
Oh yes. Well, Josh, you got any more puns for us, or can I speak now? Can I speak so we can get to Bad Boys? So.
What about a wool store called Fantastic Sheeps and where to find them?
You can't help it.
Oh, he just keeps
What
thinking about the pun.
Fantastic Little Bo Peep and where to find her.
Botched
I
it.
think we're almost there with like a Bed Bath and Beyond, like
Yeah.
Fantastic Sheets
Oh,
and where to find them.
Wait, what
Fantastic
about,
seats and where to sit.
Fantastic Seats and where to sit.
what about
Oh, no.
Fantastic Steep and where to tea?
The T's working. You're there.
Steep
You're in the
your tea.
ballpark. Fantastic.
All right, I'm back
I
to you,
got it,
Dorina.
Roxy.
Let's go, Dorina.
I got it,
A
Roxy.
restaurant called Fantastic Feasts.
Oh, Cody.
But that's also a
That's
also
like
a
Thanksgiving
cat,
night at a
It's also a
restaurant.
cat
A
food.
sauna, Fantastic Heat.
okay. Okay.
I
Now we're
finally did it.
talking.
Okay.
Now we're talking.
All right, you're back.
Well, I'm glad we're gonna clip this one out. But,
Yeah.
Shit.
damn it. So
Don't worry, guys. We're on it.
my thing is, as I was saying, I think it's similar to Hobbit. The first Fantastic Beasts had stuff that I really enjoyed. I love the Ezra Miller storyline, actually. I thought that was really cool. But half of the movie just seemed to be a weird, like, sort of family adventure movie that didn't have a lot of depth to it. Like, they're running around with the Fantastic Beasts for, like, 30 minutes, and I'm like, I get it. This is, like, it looks cool, but there's nothing added to the story.
At least they're
right?
cool
It's like
beasts, though.
filler. Yeah, exactly. But then I don't need a movie for that, right? Like, they could do, I don't know. It's more like it's like a smaller spin-off of something that meant a lot to a lot of people. It's just not. I haven't been as excited. I don't really care about part 3. I haven't even seen part 2 because the first
you
one.
didn't see the second one, and
No,
neither
because
did
I didn't
you?
want to.
I
Because I,
saw
just
it.
didn't care.
I liked the first one. I really
The
did.
first one was fine.
And the second one was. It's like I didn't hate it, but it didn't move the needle for me. It's like kind of going to what everybody's saying. It's like okay, it's there.
It's like Hobbit. It's like meh.
The
it's
Hobbit,
fine.
yeah.
Cody, any thoughts on the second one?
I never saw it.
Alex?
Yeah.
I'm kind of tired of this franchise, to be honest. I love Harry Potter. I did see the play in New York, and it's great.
The Cursed Child?
Cursed Child, I watched it. Plot is fine, but
Why isn't it cursed? Because
it
it's
is-
British?
It's English.
Oh,
Learn
same.
it's like the philosopher's stone
Curse it.
instead of the sorcerer's stone.
Yes.
It's an illusion.
Fuck you!
Most importantly, though, Josh, I know you wrote down another one. What do you got?
It's an all shoes store, but it's Fantastic Feats and where to find them. So it's all the shoes.
Yeah.
Or it could be like Wiki Feet.
But I will say, you know,
That's another.
we talked about that 90-10.
Yeah.
Writing it, that you were in that 10.
Yeah,
you were in that
thanks.
10% of professionalism.
I was waiting
Yeah.
until Doreen I didn't cut her off enough.
Yeah.
I-
We always cut each other off. It's
I
fine.
really appreciate that. Curious right now, Cody, Alex.
What
you guys
about a
are look-
shaming website where husbands and wives can say like fantastic cheats and where to find them, and they post a picture of their cheating
Why
ex-husbands
don't you
or
just
wives?
make that like a way to cheat on your math test instead? Why do we got to go to somebody cheating on their significant other?
What
That's
about a
actually true.
dispensary called Fantastic Weeds?
That's good too.
Or Wheaties for Wheaties. Going back to Cody and
What about
Alex.
scenes in a movie where they bleep out the swear word and it's fantastic bleeps and where to find them?
Don't give him that beep, Cody. That's not a real one.
It's automatic at this point.
If you guys are looking in the chat right now, Cody, Alex, what are people saying? Is anybody in there excited about a Fantastic Beasts 3 movie?
Give me a second. Got to scroll through some of their puns.
Can you read us some good ones? Now I want to look at the
There's
chat.
fantastic tweets.
Okay. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
fantastic leaks.
The fantastic
That's a
leads.
good
Yeah.
one. It's like a nice bathroom.
That's a peeing one.
I'm not going to say that one out loud.
Fantastic
Teats?
Teats?
Fantastic teas.
Oh.
Like the drink.
Oh, or
Rob
the
D,
t-shirts.
he covered that.
Ooh,
Steve's.
fantastic meats.
Fantastic meats.
Wow,
That should be like
meat-
Omaha
a
Steaks.
butchery.
A butchery.
That should be like Omaha Steaks
Yes.
kind of thing. If you want fantastic meats,
Well,
we have
We are
them.
giving the Fantastic Beasts franchise so many marketing opportunities right now. It is bonkers.
we do.
We should think of like the porn version of the Harry Potter
Well, I think
franchise.
that
And
was
what would it be?
Fantastic cheats.
No, but
Trina, I
something else.
already told you everybody was looking
Fantastic.
for our Pornhub site and they couldn't find us.
I
So
know.
we
Well,
can't
we're not
do-
as cool enough to be on Pornhub.
No. I've lost a lot of weight in my chest. It was a lot better before. We definitely do want to get to more of the audience and take your calls. But before we do that, I have to do this. Otherwise, tears will be shed and I will never live it down. Josh McCouga.
Oh,
Josh
I honestly
McCouga.
forgot for 10 seconds. I was thinking of puns.
Yeah, well, you're ready for this now because Bad Boys new trailer dropped. And I know you got thoughts.
Okay.
It's really good.
So this
First
is
of
the
all,
second
you tell
one.
me. Yeah, this is the second one. I hope this is the last one because I don't want to see more of the trailer because I want to see the movie,
Okay.
obviously.
Yeah.
But we do have 2 months, a little over 2 months, excuse me.
January
from
17,
January
2020, it comes out.
Yeah. AKA hashtag don't see Dr. Doolittle, see Bad Boys for Life. And it's a big hashtag, but
Yeah.
Yeah, see Dolomite
So-
instead.
Don't see Dr. Doolittle, see Bad Boys for Life.
it's a lot of hashtags.
It's too many lines.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway, so
literally more
it can just be Bad
characters.
Boys for Life, whatever. Dr. Don't Little, am I right? Anyway, okay, so first
that
of all,
didn't land.
the first trailer, yeah, it didn't. The first trailer, I know it didn't.
Yikes!
You guys aren't coming to me for gold. You're coming to me for half.
Hey, Alex loved that one.
I heard Alex
Yeah.
crack up.
He's
You
still
have
going.
to so you have to take a lot of swings.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So-
and this
so
trailer
Josh-
did
Strike
take
30.
swings. So go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah,
Josh.
so Josh, can I ask you really quick though?
No, go.
Has this trailer made sure that you're actually like think it's going to be an amazing movie?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know for a fact Bad Boys 3 it's going to be up there with 2 and 1 for you.
100%.
What a rude question.
Yeah, that's literally.
Was this I
It's
mean
like you walk to a bar and you're like, do you want to make a gin and tonic?
is that your drink?
Just how dare you?
Is that your drink?
No, I mean, yeah. I
But
drink
any
one.
bartender
Okay.
knows how to make a gin and tonic. Is
Okay,
the point?
gin
And
and
Bad
soda.
Boys
Yeah.
knows how to make a movie. Am
Yeah.
I right?
So
Duh.
you knew that since the first trailer.
Yes.
Okay, let me,
Okay.
if I may. I mean, aren't you
Shut
worried?
the
It's
fuck
like,
up.
listen, you shut your fucking mouth. Aren't you worried a little bit that Michael Bay isn't directing this movie?
Yes, but I am not. After 2 trailers, I am not worried about it. You know why? Because Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are the heroes we deserve when it comes to action movies.
And Michael Bay is the director we don't need.
Well, and I wouldn't say that, but Michael Bay has gotten a little tired. I think he's literally tired.
I think he lived
As a
in the
human
Transformers
being,
universe a
I think
little
he's
too long.
I think he's just tired of making movies, right? Like he's made his billions of dollars. He is what he is. He's not going to go in with the same kind of energy and fervor that these young directors are going. They are Bad Boys fans. They are fans of Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. Will Smith wants to improv. Go ahead and improv. You've got this whole storyline. Let them be Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. Let them make the Bad Boys movie, and you fill in the awesome action in between. You throw in Joey Pants, and that's what you got in this trailer.
Here's the deal with this trailer.
Give it to me, Roxy.
It's
that was inappropriate.
fucking awesome.
Yes! Yes!
Here's the thing.
I agree.
But I think they just did such a great job with the first minute was like, this is really fun, and we're going to pitch you on why this is fun. And then, unlike the first trailer, what the second minute of this did was, now we're going to tell you what the story is so that you're in on the story. And I just thought that it was perfectly placed. Even just the camaraderie between the two of them with the selfie stick or whatever's happening there. Like, I am all about this.
Yeah.
I went from not caring, I'm so sorry, Josh, at all, that this was going to be happening to caring so much.
Yeah, it's similar like
Now I care
Josh,
so much.
I'm
Trailer
with Roxy,
works.
Josh. I agree. I grew up, I saw Bad Boys as a kid. I was like, it's fine. I agree with Roxy. However, I am now, because of the third trailer, not the other trailers, but the third trailer, I am happy to go see this movie with you.
Nice.
I'm very excited.
It worked.
Yes.
Mark, you're into?
Oh, yeah. I'm in. I love Bad Boys 1 and Bad Boys 2. I lean towards the original. I think the original is a great action movie. I love it. I love Bad Boys 2. The first trailer for this, I was like, okay, I think we all talked about it. I was like, okay. This one, yes, I'm with you, Roxy. Exactly what you said. You get the humor. You get their chemistry, which is feels like they didn't skip a day. You know?
And they
I
just
like
seem
the
so
dog
happy
part.
to be there.
Yes.
They want to be there. I love
Like they're
when we
having
come
so
back
much fun
from
together.
movies. Yeah, and it sucks because nowadays I feel like we come back from movies because there's a massive paycheck. And I'm
Yeah.
sure there is a paycheck here as well, but I'm just saying it seems like they were like, let's do this.
Why do you think it took so long? I think they really wanted to pick something that was right for both of them, that they could get behind and do something. The story warranted it. And I like
Agreed.
it.
I'm curious what the people at home think, so let's throw that number up on the screen. Let's get some calls.
Also, I want to get another poll going. If I don't know if Dorian's here, but people were saying we were trying to come up with a new theme song for the show. However, some people say they really like our current theme song. So I'm wondering. I would love to get a poll and see how you guys can help us decide.
Well, there's nothing to decide until Alex pitches us his jam.
That's true. Yeah.
We gotta hear what
How's
Alex
that going,
comes up
Alex?
with.
Yeah, what's going on, Alex?
I was way too busy to do it yesterday.
Well,
So
I'm not
it'll-
expecting you to
So-
invent Rome in
How
a day.
dare you? No, I'm kidding.
You're just gonna go full instrumental, right, Alex? Like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
sick
that's the plan.
riff.
No,
Yeah.
but Josh.
I was gonna write lyrics, but
But we just need like a little intro.
what if it's just like
We don't need-
Collider live, bam, 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 Collider live, bam, bam, bam.
Yes, I'm into that.
But
But what we were talking about, Dee, the other day, which I'm excited about, is possibly incorporating the audience in some new art.
Right.
That we were going to announce.
I mean, we do have
some
good
point.
audience members too that could write songs and they could compete, but I wouldn't give Alex the first dips.
No,
Alex
Alex gets the
taking
first
this
dibs.
swing.
But with Logo, we do have a lot of people in our audience that are really great, talented artists, and that have sent us, that amazing horror art we got last week.
Oh, yeah.
So if you guys have any ideas, I know the Facebook group is another question we had. We want to know what the official Collider Live Facebook
'Cause I see
is.
two.
So I'm just going to pull back the curtain really quick for
Yeah.
people. In case you didn't know, this is new. We have a new group of people and a new format, and I love you guys so
Sort
much,
of?
and we're figuring it all out.
Yeah.
Well, Doreen and I don't host together.
Right.
This is new.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I'm just saying we've all been on the show.
Well, you guys have, and we have, but not.
I agree. It's new, and I love the energy.
But I'm just saying,
I love
thank
your
you so much.
energy,
Josh.
I love your energy as well.
Sorry, I yelled between 10 and 10:30.
It's okay. But
For
what
a
I
full
what
half
I
hour.
will say is there's a
after
little
this.
bit of a learning curve with some of these
Correct.
things. So what Dorina and I and Riley, probably not Josh, have noticed is that there are two Facebook groups. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
It
trying.
wasn't an insult to you.
I spent the entire weekend looking at how to delete my Facebook, and there is not an option to delete your Facebook.
Oh, God, right?
So
It's-
You can, but it's very
There
they make
is-
it very hard.
yeah.
There is a Collider Live Facebook private group. There's a Collider Live Universe Facebook private group. I'm writing them both.
I'm going in there. I'm going in
Can you
both.
guys help us join them together somehow? How do we do that? We need like an official one.
We want a hub.
Yes.
We want a hub
Or-
of Collider Live.
Or we can all leave Facebook, which is the right thing to do, and then
No, don't
do
pitch
Reddit.
that. We need those people. What's happening?
No, I was
With
just.
your face.
I was thinking maybe I just give you guys the Josh McCouga Show Facebook. It was the old Casual Mafia. There's only 3,000 people there, and take it because, I mean, I
don't use it?
I don't ever use it.
I like that idea, but we're also adding a third Facebook
Correct.
group.
True.
But
Let's do
I'm
this.
kind of into it.
Let's just make a subreddit.
That's what I was
Yeah.
pitching.
You know
Leave
what?
Facebook
Kids are
and make
using these
Reddit.
days.
Yes.
No,
I'd like to.
no,
we
no.
should use more
We
Reddit.
can also
I
do that.
agree.
We can also do that, but
We
we
can
need
have
to have
both.
a Facebook group.
¿Por qué no los dos?
I am on
Great question.
message thread with some admins from all over the space. So we can maybe go in there
sounds like
and
a
talk
terrible
about
Guys,
it.
new song. We have our shit together. Yes, we do. We
do.
have our
We do.
shit together.
No, we don't.
But we wanna.
No, Cody.
So
Don't
anyway,
do that,
though, but
Cody.
one of those peeks behind the curtain is that we have been talking about doing a full-blown competition for our new logo for
Right.
Collider Live, and we are currently trying to figure out, legally speaking, how exactly to deal with that on our end.
Right.
But we want you guys to start pitching us your artwork, and then we will talk about all the logistics
Yes,
later. But
and
we are
maybe
looking
we
for
can
a
do some
new Collider Live logo.
Maybe we can do some giveaways for that. We're currently talking to Thad about that. But if you guys have any ideas, tweet at us. Put it in the either of the Facebook groups we currently have. We'll try to work on which one will be the official one.
I'm looking at both.
Yes,
Using them both.
¿Por qué no los dos?
But
No
until
wrong, there
then,
are no wrong Facebook pages here.
That's
Correct.
true. We do have calls, hopefully, to take Cody. Anyway, there we go. You're on Collider Live. What's your name? Where are you from?
Oh, hello. My name is Saul. I'm from the East Coast.
Oh, look
shit.
at Saul.
He's back day 2.
You still have that magic touch, don't you?
Wait, he kind of sounds a little different.
Yeah, you're
He's
putting on
trying to
some
be
kind
way
of
more
voice here.
appropriate.
Yeah, what's going on, Saul? Why you sound all professional?
Because it's now, it's a very different show, so I have to. All right, fuck it, never mind.
Yes.
You almost had it, Saul. You almost had it. buddy.
Saul, how was your trip back?
It was pretty seamless, actually. It was, nothing terribly interesting to report back, except anybody who wears a neck pillow at the airport. I
At
should be
the
able to
airport,
hit those people
yeah,
because there's
yeah.
something that triggers me. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to have a conversation with an adult wearing a neck pillow.
I get it when you're on the
The whole
flight,
thing-
but when you're at the actual airport,
They're
I
just
get that.
standing
dude.
with the neck pillow around
Yes.
their neck.
Yeah.
I think they want
Maybe-
people to know they have a neck pillow.
Maybe they
It's a
take
status
micro
symbol.
naps.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way necessarily about the neck pillows, Saul, but I do hear you. For me, it's being in this nerd space. People dress up and cosplay all the time, and I'll end up in these serious emotional conversations with fucking Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like,
At the airport?
no, just in general.
Oh.
It's like when you're trying to talk to an adult
get
and they
that.
look like a,
Yeah.
and they're dressed
Thank you,
up.
Cody.
There you go.
I
There
thought
it
you were
is.
going to let
Breaking
an
news.
opportunity pass
And
by.
Cody, that was not a shot at you.
Saul, I got to be honest, man. I'm a little bummed out that I wasn't here on Friday. Or I wasn't given warning that you were going to be here because I'm disappointed I didn't get to meet you, bud.
Yeah, I'm full of surprises. I know. You never can tell with me.
It's true.
But yeah, no, I thought you were. There was a rumor that you ducked out because I was coming.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
you,
Probably too.
yeah,
Saul, what was your experience here? How did you like being in our studio?
it was kind of. It was a little surreal. It was like I was flying back out over the weekend, and I go, "Did I just go on Collider Live?" Did that
Yeah,
really
you
happen?
did.
Like, because it kind of just it all happened very last minute, and look, I'm going to get a little corny for a minute, which I occasionally do, but I'm in a weird place in my life right now, and hopefully I'm going to look back at this period of my life like 5 years from now as like this is when things were bad for me. Like this is a weird. I'm going through some weird stuff.
When you were on Collider Live?
Okay.
And one of the weird ways I get through my days now is because of this show.
Oh,
And-
thanks, man.
Thanks, dude.
And it's like sometimes an ending is a beginning and a beginning is an ending, and it just felt right. And I felt like I wanted to come and kind of kiss the ring a little bit, and I wanted to meet everybody and hopefully communicate that you guys are a big deal to me somehow. And I'm not comfortable with that. So,
Sal.
Dude, I am
Saul.
equally uncomfortable with emotions. I understand.
That was beautiful, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
I'm really grateful that you came. I thought it was really fitting for Christian's last show also. I know everybody here was happy to have you. I thought it was incredibly funny that Saul had been in the building for maybe 3 hours at the point where I said, has anybody shown you around? And Saul,
I know you have to give him a
Saul
tour.
said, no.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, this is
Sounds about right
this
for
is the thing we get in trouble for.
Yeah, sounds about right.
But I was glad you were here, Saul. Thank you for coming out all this way.
And thank you for your oh, go ahead.
why would you get in trouble for showing me around?
No, getting in trouble for not showing people around. People always bitch that, like, remember when the two guys that used to do the show,
Yeah.
Snails,
Ryan Snelling.
Snelling and
Snails.
shit, I'm forgetting Snelling and what's the other guy's name? Jay.
Jay Wellens, yeah.
They used to talk about how when they came here, nobody showed them where the
Yeah,
bathroom
Jack
was,
came, yeah, we
nobody
didn't
did
show 'em around.
anything. And so, Saul, you were here for 3 hours in our home for all intents and purposes, and nobody took you around.
But then Roxy gave you a tour, and you also got some donuts, right?
I got, well, I didn't have any donuts because evidently I thought they were all for Christian. I thought every one of them was for Christian.
Well, the rest of us didn't because we ate them.
Saul, I agree with you. I did not have a single bite of a donut because I believed they were all for Christian as well.
I grabbed one and hid it at my desk and ate it on Saturday, the following day.
I ate it in front
I
of
did
him.
not want to be accused of taking a donut.
There was a lot of donuts.
Yeah.
You could have eaten one. But no, that's very
don't
sweet.
know that.
What you said was very sweet, Saul. And I think I wrote an actual Instagram post yesterday for my amazing experience at the Tom York concert because Collider Live fan hooked me and my friend up for that. And it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. And I think the Collider fans in general this year have shown me that they're very sweet, kind people. And you guys somehow... think that the stuff we say is entertaining, makes your day brighter. That's all we can hope for. So thank you all. And thank you, Sal.
Thank you, dude.
Thanks, Saul.
I had no problem. And I just want to comment that Dorina is an excellent hugger. I was blown away by that.
Good
That's
hugger.
it. Maybe
Yeah.
it's a...
Roxy, not so much.
No, he already gave me shit that I didn't hug him. It was a whole fucking thing.
Well, you didn't, and you had plenty of opportunities to, and I know you wanted to. I could see the look in your eye. But Dorina took the initiative, and she's a very good hugger, and I'm very critical of the way
Fine, I
people
just showed
hug.
you around
So
for
I
30
I
minutes.
want to put that out there.
Thank you, Saul.
Thanks, Saul.
Nothing I do
Be
is good
buddy.
enough. Bye, Saul. Thanks for calling. All right, Cody, let us know when we have the next
I know
call
what
on the
that's
line.
like, Roxy. It's tough. You know?
I'm
When
not-
nothing
Maybe you
do
just
is
need
ever
to
good enough.
practice your hugs. Maybe we hug every morning and then...
Roxy's a good hugger.
Listen, here's the truth.
Solid hug.
I'm not a very affectionate person. It
Right.
doesn't come naturally to me. My whole family always talked about it. I don't feel comfortable hugging
like a
strangers
cat.
very often.
Right.
You know, when people are like, I'm a hugger, I'm like, that's fine. If they want to hug me, I will hug them back, but I'm never going to initiate a hug with a stranger. It's just not in my nature.
Right.
I am like weird about touching people and things and whatnot.
Right.
And so
It also depends
if Saul
on-
had went in for a hug, of course I would have hugged him. I'm
Right.
just not, that's
You're
not
not
really
going
who-
to initiate it.
It's not who I
Yeah.
am. So,
But I think it's also
if that bothers
culture.
him, that fucking bothers him.
No, it's also... I think he's also just giving you shit because he loves
he's
doing
But
that.
it's like the
shit.
10th time I've gotten shit about it. And like
He's got your
what I
number,
do,
Roxy.
What
He
I
likes
do is
to,
I
like-
spend quality time with people because for me, my love languages are the one where you get things that are helpful to you, whatever, acts of service and quality time.
Yeah.
So I was like, Saul, let me show you around. Let me spend time
Yeah.
with you. That's what I do. I'm not a physical touch
Right.
love language person. So anyway, that was a rant. That was weird.
Hey, welcome to Collider Live.
Roxy.
What's your name? Where are you from? Cool.
Hello.
Bueller.
Agreed.
Hello. Hello.
Coach.
There they are.
Hello.
Hey, hi folks, it's Sean from Boston.
Hey, Sean.
Sean from Boston. Hell yeah. What part?
What part? I am north in Melrose.
Hell yeah.
There's a Melrose.
They have a
Boston?
Melrose.
Yeah, I had a
Do they have
friend-
dress shops there?
I had a friend named Melissa Pham who grew up in Melrose. I don't know if I'm supposed to say people's names.
I don't know.
I just did.
Well, somebody's looking her up right now.
Anyway, what's going on? What are you calling in about?
Listen, this is great stuff. I'm having a blast day two. It's fantastic. I've been a fan for a long time.
Love that.
I'm actually
Thanks,
one
dude.
of your followers, Rox. I'm Sean Cal, 26.
Oh, Sean
Always
Cal
digging it.
26. Hell yeah. He's the best, guys.
Oh.
He's very supportive.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Where the fuck's my follow, Sean? Jesus Christ.
You don't use your Patreon.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Patreon. Oh,
Thank you,
Patreon.
Sean. Do you have a
YouTube.
question for us today?
Yeah, I do. So I'm curious to know. So, Rox, are you going to be digging the Little Mermaid live tonight?
Oh.
It's an excellent question. I'm going to see Last Christmas
Oh,
tonight.
I'm jealous. I
I
want to see
gave
that.
you my heart. Sorry.
At the very next day.
Day you gave it away.
Okay.
If you can't beat him, join him.
Sean just joined us. Sean is
Sean,
awesome.
you're the best. The
Way
fucking
to go,
Boston
Sean.
guy.
Way to
Oh,
go, Sean.
I miss Boston guys.
Not
Just-
this time of year. It's too cold.
No, I didn't say I miss
Right.
Boston, the place. the guys
people.
aren't cold.
Plus, the
Well,
Patriots
they-
suck.
that's
They
some-
just lost.
They're
I
cold in a
mean,
way that they're not going to give me shit if I don't hug them.
True.
So,
Is anybody watching the music?
but
Because I probably will.
I probably will later on. I love that kind of stuff.
Me too. I love
I know
musicals.
that Josh will not be watching.
Right.
Is that correct,
That
Josh?
you would nail that.
Are you watching,
That's
Ryan?
exactly why I didn't ask Josh.
Oh, I'm
Sean.
watching
Oh yeah.
this thing.
No, we love the
Oh,
musicals.
I gotta watch this.
Yeah, especially the live ones because I think there have been some cool ones. Like I thought Grease was pretty decent comparatively to like Sound of Music or other ones we've
Or
gotten.
the Hairspray one.
Right.
There
that
was a
one
Hairspray one.
That
live.
one was all right. But yeah,
Rev-
they're always
Rev
hit or
one
miss,
was-
and it's good and it's fun to see a good production or a shit show.
Quick question, Josh. Did you even watch that one, or did you?
I just heard.
Okay.
I just knew there was a Hairspray one.
I was gonna be really impressed if you sat down to watch the Hairspray.
Remember,
I was
10% professional,
Yeah.
90%.
Thanks.
I just
Right.
heard.
That's definitely my fraction. It's if the pie is 90% of just like Wild Man, and there's 10% NPR Josh.
I like both of them.
Thanks.
Honestly, I really like
Well,
both of them. Sean, thank you so
Together.
much for calling in. Really appreciate you. Go Pats.
When I was 16, I went to see Hairspray as like part of like we were in high school and we went to a musical.
You were forced. You were tied and bonded.
We left Hairspray and I turned to it was just my buddy and I said, "Who wrote that?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Who would waste their time writing
I
that?"
like Hairspray.
I could cry right
think
now.
it's fun. But we already know you don't like musicals. I love musicals.
It's like
musicals
Oh
are
boy.
great.
Oh
I also
boy.
felt the
So we
same way
do
about
one.
90s.
Hey, there's a call.
We got one more
Yes,
call.
You're on Collider Live. What's your name? Where are you from?
Hi, this is Andy calling from Pennsylvania.
Yes,
Hello,
Andy.
Andy.
Josh, you
He's
want to
from,
ask
you're
him?
near he's from near Scranton, right? Near Wilkes-Barre?
No. I'm Western PA.
Oh.
Like an hour north of Pittsburgh.
Oh, right. You're Indiana, PA.
No. North.
All right, Josh.
Telling you,
What,
Josh.
like Butler?
Listen.
Why don't we just keep guessing?
Go.
Let's see how that
Yeah,
goes.
he keeps telling you where he's
All right,
from.
sorry. Go ahead. You know what, Andy? You're a great dude. You're from Western PA. Doesn't matter. What's your question?
Yeah. What's up, 412?
What up?
My question is actually for Dorina. I
Oh.
was wondering if you saw that Critical Role got picked up by Amazon Video today.
Oh, I did not see that, but
Yeah.
I love those. I love Critical Role. I love those guys, and I'm actually some of us here are friends with them, so that's great. We always wish them well. They're I think what they've been doing is fantastic, and we actually are hoping to work with them soon and have some guests from Critical Role for you guys next year.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. They got approved for 14 more episodes, another second season of 12 episodes.
What they're doing
Wow.
is fucking
Yeah.
wild, man.
It's great, and
so
it's
cool.
and it's just it's
I-
D&D.
I understand it's D&D, but so they just play D&D on TV?
On TV, yeah, but now
Cool.
they're branching out because they had the most successful Kickstarter
I knew that.
of all time,
Yeah.
and it's just
It's
just
like
didn't
from
know-
a business end, but content-wise, you're like, what
yeah,
is-
I don't-
was it
yeah,
like?
I
no,
know
they
it's-
basically have they play D&D like I think it's now in like 2 times a week, and
Okay.
they've had a couple of different campaigns. I'm sure the fans can correct me exactly
kinda
what
like-
they've done.
I have it right here. They were able to raise. They were looking for 750,000. They got 11.3 million.
It's
88,000
insane.
people contributed to their campaign.
You know when I noticed though the fan base is incredible is I was at Emerald City Comic Con, and when they showed
Is that
up
the
on
one where you didn't invite
stage
me to the
in
panel?
Seattle, yes, is the one that I didn't want you on my music
Oh,
panel.
I remember because you guys aren't friends.
Right, correct. That's actually probably the weekend we became friends.
Yeah,
but
you do that.
because of the pizza, because we
Yes.
bonded over the pizza.
Yeah.
But
Rocco's.
seeing the audience, the massive audience, while our friends were on stage, you okay? There?
No, I didn't say
Wash.
anything.
Wash.
Was incredible. Like it's so cool that all these people that you were talking about earlier, Roxy. We were all bullied as kids for liking whether it was Star Wars. Now it's cool, right? A lot of people also got bullied for playing D&D, right? It was frowned upon. People were saying it was of the devil or whatever.
that was the
it
whole
was
argument in my
so
town.
and it's so good for
True.
people. Like it helps people with social skills. Like it makes people
Imagination.
creative. I think it's fantastic that this is happening.
Completely agree.
They've helped usher in a huge resurgence of D&D,
Mm-hmm.
especially
Yeah.
in the last couple of years.
Do you think that they ushered in more D&D or Stranger Things ushered in more D&D?
Probably
it was
Critical
a perfect
Role.
storm.
I
of
want some
things.
D in my V.
Well,
What?
Hey!
Wow! Thank you, Pennsylvania, so much for calling. That is your Collider Live for today,
We
because why
did it.
not?
You gotta end a show like that.
Oh, I don't even know if I
Roxy.
said it out loud or not.
No, it was out loud for sure.
Definitely.
Thank you to Dorina, Mark Riley, Josh McCouga, Haleigh Foutch, Cody Hall, Alex Marzonia. I'm Roxy Stryer. We will be back tomorrow, whether you fucking like it or not. Woo!
Make it big.